Hey, what is going on? Luke Hart here. So tonight we have some really cool stuff going on. We are going to be doing encounter building tonight, and that means that we are going to be basically we're gonna start off with like different tiers and stuff. So, you know, the standard tiers of play, like levels 1 to 4, 5 to 10, 10, 11 to 16, all that kind of good stuff. And we're going to create at least 3 different encounters. Hopefully we can get more than that. But tonight is basically just encounter building. And when we get done, I'm going to make the download available for you all too, so you can go out and you can grab it and pull it down, use it in your games, and all that kind of good stuff. We are going to spend a little bit of time at the beginning here just going over like the basic guidelines. I have like 3 foundational things that I kind of consider when I'm doing encounter building, and those are location and terrain, monsters, NPCs, and like a dramatic question to kind of base that encounter. So let's see. I want to see who all we got going on here. Give me a shout out, guys, if you are in the chat. I just want to get an idea of who we have on the stream with us today. See, I can't see a participant list, and I am curious who all is here. So drop me something in the chat, guys, if you can see me, if you can hear me. Usually I got at least someone saying what up by this point. So that makes me concerned that maybe this isn't working. That would be awesome. So I want to do a basic confirmation, guys, that we are in fact live, because usually I got somebody saying something by now. So let me drop something in here. Hello, are you here? Hey, there we go. All right, guys. So this is in fact working, right? Alan56, Oscar, what's going on, man? How you guys doing? I'm just trying to confirm that the live stream's actually working, because yeah, it's always a fear, right? That you like go live and then it's not working and you're just talking to yourself and nobody can hear you. So there we go. But it looks like we got some people in the chat, so hopefully we are good to go and all the good stuff. So a couple things I want to mention before we jump into this stuff. Let me see. So I mentioned that we're going to add all the encounters we come up with. I will add a downloadable file to the description after the stream is over, possibly tomorrow morning, so you guys can all get the encounters that we come up with. You'll be able to use them on your own. Also, I usually update like a table of contents down in the description as well, so that you guys can all, you know, kind of skip to the interesting parts of the stream. Obviously, this is for the replay. The live people can't skip around, but if you're catching this on the replay, then you can skip to the parts of the stream that you find most interesting. Usually we do a little bit of question and answer at the very end of the stream, and so I usually put some, you know, questions down there so that you can go to the ones that you find most interesting. And we will probably, once we start getting into like building terrain and whatnot, we're probably going to be using an online map building software called Dungeon Fog. And if you guys want to check that out too, I got a little promotional 10% off thing going on for that. So that is going on. Just got to use the promo code DM Lair and you're all good. So we'll be doing that as well. So Ron Reyes, what's going on, dude? Glad to see you, man. Alan says he was late jumping in, had to feed the dogs. You gotta feed the dogs, man. The dogs will like eat you if you don't feed them. So you gotta do that stuff. All right, first thing I want to do is, so I did a video, so I'm currently in the middle of like an encounter building series on my channel, and so this live stream is kind of piggybacking on that idea, which is why we're going to be building encounters together. But the first video that I put out in that series basically talked about 3 foundational things when you're building an encounter. And the first one of those is just basic location and terrain. Where the encounter is taking place is going to determine a lot of things about that encounter. For instance, the monsters that might be involved in it. If you're in a desert, if you're on a lake or something, underwater, in the mountains, those locations are going to determine in a way which types of monsters you might run into, as well as when you get into the nitty-gritty details of actually building out the map itself, if let's say it turns into a combat, the combat takes place on, then you're going to have different terrain as well that you're going to lay out on your map. Oh, my camera's doing it again. My camera's doing this blinky thing. It always seems to do this. That is awesome. If it keeps doing that, then I'll have to reset the thing. This is so annoying to me. I don't know why it does this. The other thing is monsters and NPCs. Obviously, if we're going to build an encounter, we're going to pick out monsters and NPCs to put into that encounter, and we're going to be doing we'll be doing like the math behind that tonight. I will be pulling up a tool online that I use for kind of deciding how many monsters, you have orcs and stuff like that, how many of those are going to actually go into a battle, a combat, to make it balanced for your party, depending on how many PCs you have and what level they are. Definitely getting some blinking. I do not like the blinking. Do not like the blinking. And dramatic question. So a dramatic question kind of like founds or puts a base on the encounter so that not every encounter will just be simply kill everything or a combat. And a dramatic question helps us to avoid that solution. I am getting distracted by all the blinking going on from my webcam. I don't know. See, look at this. Look at this stupid blinky junk. You guys all see the vertical bars going up and down in this thing? That is awesome. Love that crap. Love that crap. I gotta get a new webcam. I got two webcams now. I should try the other one out. This one always seems to be doing this to me. I jostled the connection, so maybe that makes it a little bit better. All right, sweet. So I think what we're gonna do is we're probably just gonna start jumping in here, and that's interesting. All right, let's jump in and start building some encounters. It says, Oscar says, what do you think about orcs and an ogre capture a unicorn? They got the quest of getting the creature for some high elves wizards, and they want to do an eternal healing wand. Yeah, I mean, we are just going to be doing a basic encounter. So we're going to just do distinct individual encounters. We're not going to be focusing on like an entire adventure for tonight, right? So the next stream we're probably going to be doing adventure building. But tonight we're just going to do distinct individual encounters. They are not related at all. We're just kind of going to get the feel for encounter building itself. So if my camera keeps on doing the horizontal bars, I'm going to reset it real quick. If that gets really annoying, you guys like shout at me or something. So there we go. All right, the first thing we're going to do is let's pull up my Word document here. Not that one. I have a second Word document over here. And basically what I'm going to do here is we're just going to start building some encounters. So the first thing that I want to do, guys, is I want to make some sort of level 1 to 4 encounter. That is our guidelines for right now. So what I want you guys to do in the stream is throw me out some names of monsters that would be appropriate for a party of levels 1 to 4, if you would be so kind. Level 1 to 4. So we're talking like low-level monsters. We are not talking about things like ogres or things more powerful than that. What we really want are things like orcs or things weaker than that, maybe hobgoblins, things that are like CR 1/4 or 1/2, maybe a CR 1, that sort of thing. That's what we're kind of looking at here. Hey Arthur, what's going on, man? No, we just started the stream. We started it just like not too long ago, like 10 minutes ago, dude. So you are totally on time. So throw me out some ideas for monsters, guys, and we're gonna pick some monsters out and we're gonna build an encounter. So start throwing that stuff in there. And what I'm gonna do while you guys do that is I am going to try to reset my camera real quick here. So bear with me. Basically what this involves is I unplug the thing, which is going to cause my face to freeze. There, now my face is frozen for you. Now what I gotta do is I need to open up some software. Here, that's not the right software. This is the software that I'm gonna open up, and oh, that's not gonna work. Aha! I need to do that. See, this is the pain in the butt. This is the pain in the butt when things. Now see, now I got my face on there. However, where is this? My webcam controller. Come on, baby. You can do it. Hobgoblins. We got a dryad. Ooh, a dryad. See, this is there we go. Come on. Let's go. There we go. Controls, baby. Yeah. Because what happens, the reason I'm doing this is because every time I have to reset this, for some reason my white balance goes way crazy on me. And so I need to add a little bit of color back into my face. Like so. And that should be a whole lot better now. And now what I need to do is I go over here into my Logitech camera, and I need to, oh, this is so annoying. I hate doing this. Now I have to deactivate it, and then I reactivate it, and I am back. There we go. And hopefully the horizontal bar thingies stop on us, because that's really annoying. Okay, so we got some ideas here. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Someday, maybe in 2020, I will get better at live streaming and my cameras won't like fizzle out and do crazy crap on me. But until then, this is all I got. So we got kobolds. Yeah, kobolds are a good level. Absolutely. Kobolds, dryads, hobgoblins, will-o-wisp. Ooh, that's a cool one. Will-o-wisp. Ooh, those are undead now. I don't think will-o-wisps were always undead. In the 5th edition now, will-o-wisps are considered undead. Something tells me in previous editions they were like a different creature type. Interesting little point, has nothing to do with what we're doing tonight, but it just triggered something. Zombies and skeletons. Yes, very good. All right, so here's the thing. Here's what I want to do, guys. I'm getting like individual monsters. Now, generally speaking, when you're building an encounter, there's nothing wrong with just throwing one monster type at the characters, but it can get a little boring. So if we're using just kobolds, we want to have some kobolds that might be frontliners, and maybe a couple kobolds that have like little slings or something that they're throwing at the characters. And then there might be one kobold wizard. So we want to have a variety of like creature types. We don't all want them to be like your frontline melees or all of them to be casters. Those types of encounters are going to usually result in things that are an encounter that's less interesting than if we had more of a variety. So if we're going to do kobolds, I don't mind starting with kobolds because kobolds are your standard low-level encounter. Very good. So let's pull up a kobold. So what we're going to do here, I have a little template here that I use when I'm creating. I'll insert, and we will pick it's a quick part. We have a quick part. I have a bunch of quick parts made. This quick part is for an encounter block, an encounter table. So this is my encounter table. We're actually gonna, so usually when I build encounters, guys, I build encounters with the same creatures that stretch over 4 different levels. And the reason I do this a lot of times in my games, when I'm creating a homebrew game, I don't know necessarily the level that my players are going to be at when they go to the adventure that I'm designing. I might be a level or 2 off, and so when I create my encounters, I like to create an encounter so that no matter what level they kind of hit it at, they're going to be ready for it. So this encounter that we're going to build right now is going to be good for levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. This just kind of builds some flexibility into your game as well. So that, like, you know, if you built an encounter for level 2 and they don't get to it to level 4, they're going to steamroll it, right? And so this way we kind of think about that ahead of time. So let's see what we got going on in the chat. Yep. So Oscar says 3 PC level 3 versus ogre and 2 orcs. I had put some deadly encounters and they survive barely, but better, more orcs and ogre. Yeah, the thing is that at low levels, ogres just do so much damage. Like at level 1, an ogre can one-shot a PC. And at level 2 and 3, PCs are still a little squishy. So an ogre is still going to do quite a bit of damage to them. This is annoying. I'm still getting my little horizontal bar junk. So anyway, let's do some kobolds here. So we definitely want to have a normal kobold. Now, I'm pretty sure that if we were to hop over, so what we want to do is, I'm still getting my horizontal bars. This is so annoying. It's so annoying to me. I should just turn my camera off. You don't look at my face anyway. So if we pull over, we got the monster manual going on here. We're going to look at the kobold. The normal, ooh, we got winged kobolds. Ooh, that's interesting. We could throw a winged kobold in there, which is actually really cool. Let's do this. Let's have a normal kobold. They will engage the players on the ground, and then the winged kobold will be like flying above them possibly, and like maybe they have rocks. It says they have rocks, so they could drop rocks on them. So let's do that. And the winged kobold is 25 experience, and let's see, the kobold is 25 and 50. Dude, my camera's flipping out on me. I'm so over my camera. I'm just gonna make a little note here. These guys are 25 XP, and then the winged kobold is 50 XP. There we go. Usually I don't write this on here, but But we had to do that tonight. I'm crazy here. I'm going nuts. My camera's like flipping out. All these horizontal bars, man. This is so not cool. I don't know what the deal is. All right, I'm gonna do one more reset. I apologize. This is like dumb. This is like unserviceable. Like seriously, why does it just like flip out on me? All right, so here we go. Unplugging the camera. I'm gonna blow it out this time. I'm also gonna put it into a different USB port because I think that might help. So, different USB port. There we go. I am so not. She's not cool. So annoying. So annoying. There we go. Give me my controls. All right. Give me my advanced settings. Awesome. I'm gonna pull. See now. This is so lame. So lame. So I gotta put some color back into myself. Wow. I hate doing this. This is dumb. Stuff should just work. You know what I'm saying? Stuff should just work. Where is my Logitech? I'll go to my properties, and then I need to deactivate it, and then reactivate it. And, oh, it's still not working. Haha, it's still not working. It's still not working. Video capture device, properties, deactivate. Oh, you know what I gotta do? I gotta turn that off. It won't actually activate. There we go. That didn't do it. That didn't do it. Oh, huh. I did the wrong one. I did the wrong one. Okay, here we go. Deactivate. Activate. There we go. All right. I don't know if this is going to help anything. I might still get the horizontal bars, but at any rate, let's see if this works. Yep, that works too. So that's good. All right, we're back in business for a few moments at least until this starts flipping out on me again. Sorry about that. I will get my crap together one of these days. All right, I want to read some of the chat here. So Arthur says the best level 1 encounter he did was kobolds and a white early hatched dragling. Ooh, that sounds fun. And then total party wipe. Winged kobolds are also called urds. Oh, that's cool, Michael. John Saki says you could also throw the kobold inventor from Volos, a sort of leader boss type. It might be a tad early to think of bosses, but hey, you know, this is what we're gonna do, John. I like that idea. What we're gonna do is let's make this encounter right here that we already got kind of drawn up, and then we'll make another one where we pull in that inventor dude with some normal kobolds as well, because that inventor dude is a good backliner. We could have a couple kobolds in the front lines, and that inventor kobold could be in the back lines. So let's rock and roll on this one, and then we'll get to that one. That's a really good idea, dude. Hey, Bromos, what up, nerds? It's Friday night, and we got nothing better but to talk about D&D. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Michael says kobolds are known for their traps, so including a few of them at higher levels could be cool. Absolutely, dude. And that's one of the things that actually I just did some video recording today for some videos coming out in February, and one of the tips for making encounters more interesting is to include a trap in the middle of an encounter that will get triggered and all that kind of stuff. So my cat's down here, like, and my cat's rubbing against my leg, so I'm just kind of petting him down here. Keeps him quiet, but now he wants to like touch my USB cords, and that's not cool because I had some problems with that. All right, sweet. Traps would be good. Powder your nose. I have to powder my nose? I don't powder my nose, man. I don't powder my nose. Okay, anyway, let's make some encounters here. First thing we're going to do, so we have kobolds, we have winged kobolds. If we're doing this at level 1, 2, 3, and 4, we need to go in and figure some stuff out. So we are going to rock and roll, and I'm going to pull up right here. This is the encounter builder that I use, guys. I will zoom in for you a little bit, not too much. This is what I use to calculate things. So now most modules build their encounters around 4 PCs, and that's what we're going to do tonight. Now, if you were building your own encounters for your own game and you know you have 3 players or 5 players or 6 players, then you would just modify how you fill this form out. So we're going to say we have 4 characters. We're going to say that they are level 1. And then we're going to calculate. And we have 2 different types of monsters. We have some normal kobolds, and we're going to say we have 3 of them, and then we have 2 winged kobolds. Now what I'm doing here is, obviously, there are columns and there are rows. I'm just filling out the information, number of monsters and the monster XP. And what this little thing here does for me is it calculates the difficulty of this. So if I have 4 level 1 PCs, and then I have 3 normal kobolds, and then 2 winged kobolds, this tells me that this is a hard encounter, which there's nothing wrong with a hard encounter. So let's just call it a hard encounter. Now, you don't want to have all of your encounters be hard or deadly, right? You want to have a nice mix. Some of them are easy, some of them are medium, then some hards and deadlies. But we got a good idea for this at least. So we're going to say 3 and 2 is our number. And then we're going to, that is not the right sheet right there. All right, so now this is what I do. I just kind of fill this out. It's hard. The adjusted XP and the XP awarded. Now this actually does give us that information. It's 350 and 175, and I'll explain what that means in just a moment. Probably a lot of you already know what that means. 350 and 175, and then we had 3 of these guys and 2 of these. Now here's the thing. When your players overcome this encounter, when they defeat the kobolds or whatever it is they do to actually overcome them, they would earn 175 experience points. The adjusted XP is like, I don't know how to explain it. It's in the DMG and stuff, but it's the amount of XP that's adjusted based upon the difficulty and stuff like that, and it would go against their adventuring day. There's when you calculate out adventuring days, there's a pool of XP that players are expected to be able to handle a certain amount of XP in a single day, and then every encounter that they come across, that adjusted XP gets subtracted out of that, and that kind of basically is used to determine how often your players are expected to have to take a long rest when they're going through an adventure, and that's adventuring day XP. If you go to the trouble of calculating all of that, I used to do it all the time. Now I rarely do. I mostly just wing things because I have a better feel for how things work, but it works fairly well, I think, if you want to calculate everything out. Anyway, this is a hard encounter here. All we're doing, by the way, right now is we haven't really talked about location or terrain at all. We have not asked a dramatic question at all. All we're really doing right now is just punching some numbers. We're getting some monsters calculated out here. So let's just quickly fill some of these other things in because we got some more interesting stuff to do as well. So now if we have 4 level 2 characters, and let's just keep the numbers the same and calculate it, now it becomes easy. All right, I don't like that. I don't want it to be easy for them. So I'm going to add in, and you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to add in a kobold, and then it becomes medium. Now, let's say that I want to keep the same. That's okay. Let's do a medium. So there's 4 and 2, and we're going to call it a medium. So now we call medium. There are 4 of the normal kobolds, and then 2 of the winged kobolds. And we can fill in all this information here for adjusted XP and XP awarded. I don't think it's super critical that we do all that, but 400 and 200 are the numbers for that. I mean, we're just punching some math, you know. I mean, this is not, I don't think this is too, once you've done this a few times, this is pretty easy to just kind of come in and using this tool. Now, if you were to be doing all of these adjustments using the calculations out of the Dungeon Master Guide and doing this math by hand or even by calculator, then this gets really bad. It's crappy. It's a real big pain in the butt, which is why I love this tool, because it does it all on the fly. You can just throw things in and whatnot. So Arthur's gonna get some beer. Dude, bring some back for the rest of us, man. You can't just go run off and get beer and not, oh man, I just said beer on YouTube. They're gonna demonetize me and crap now. Ugh. All right, whatever. They get all worked up about that stuff. Anyway, let's do a level 3. Now, what's going to happen really quick, guys, is we're going to need lots of kobolds to challenge players at higher levels. And right here, if I calculate this, now it becomes an easy again. And so I have to keep on adding more kobolds. I'm going to throw a winged kobold in, and it becomes medium. There we go. All right, so that's acceptable. I can go with that. My cat is still, he's like in a rubbing contest down here against my leg. He wants me to give him kisses. That means petting. That's my vernacular for petting. I don't actually kiss cats. That's nasty. My brother and his dogs. He like my brother. I don't know. Should I tell my brother? Should I say this? he'll take food off his plate, feed it to his dog, and then use the same utensil to like continue eating. Woo! All right. Anyway, moving on. I hope my brother doesn't watch this. He's like, oh, he's insulting me on national television. All right. The adjusted difficulty rating is 625 and 250. So I'm just gonna throw those in. 625. I don't know that we're always gonna throw these in here because this doesn't serve a whole lot of value for our purposes here. I'm just like really thorough, I guess. So, and now if we're gonna bump this up to character level 4, and then I'll recalculate it, and it goes back down to easy. So I'm just gonna have to keep on throwing in more monsters, and it's still at easy. And you guys can see here, I'm still at easy. Because we're level 4 now. This is gonna be a lot harder. You guys can see quickly, it's still at easy. Look at this. Look at this craziness. Now I'm medium. So this is getting a little bit not going to work so well. In order to get a medium encounter for level 4 PCs, you guys can see that I need 6 kobolds and 5 winged kobolds. That is a lot. I don't know that. Usually I don't. Occasionally. So I'll say that occasionally an encounter like that where there's significantly more enemies than PCs isn't that big of a deal. Occasionally it's a little fun thing. You got a nice mob coming at you. They definitely have action economy on their side, and kobolds get pack tactics, which gives them advantage when somebody, one of their friends is nearby to them, to whoever they're attacking. So once in a while a big mob like that isn't a big deal, but I would not recommend doing it all the time. Usually, let me get some numbers written down here. So we have 6 of these and 5 of these just to make it a medium encounter, right? And I'm gonna stop filling out the adjusted XP and XP awarded. I think that folks can figure that out on their own, and it's just slowing us down. So usually what you'd want to do at this point is you'd want to switch up your monsters, or maybe beef them up, increase their CR. I would find more appropriate ones. Or you could just say, look it, a party, level 4 party is probably not going to go against kobolds, and you would just not design your adventure, assuming level 4. Levels 1 through 3, probably not too horrible, but once they get a little bit higher, a kobold is probably just not an appropriate challenge rating, or a challenge level for your party. So anyway, you can see we have a big, huge mob. Even here, we're getting into a pretty decent mob of these that we need. But there are more difficult kobolds. There are kobold dragon shields, and I think there's a kobold sorcerer. I think these are all in Volos, I believe. So there are definitely some more difficult kobolds that we could use. And if we had a higher level party, we would be using higher level kobolds. So there we go. Now, we haven't really finished this up because all we've done really is now, this basically is one of my kind of pet peeves, one of the things that I don't like. Modules do this a lot. A lot of times you will flip open a module and it'll show you basically a bare room, and it'll say there are monsters in it. And then if we just go ahead and draw that bare room and throw monsters in it out on the map, or even if we're doing theater of the mind, and we don't actually put anything interesting in that room to fill it up, like tables and bookcases, maybe there's a pit over there, maybe there's a trap going off. If there's nothing in that bare room but like emptiness, then we just lost a significant part of what makes an encounter interesting, in my opinion. So we don't want to just have a bare room. We definitely want to have something going on in this room. So what I want you guys to do is, besides just like bookcases and stuff like that, is there anything interesting that could be going on in this room with these kobolds? So let's call this just basic kobolds and terrain. Different terrain elements that we want to have for these kobolds. Or I should say for the room that they're going to be in. Different terrain that we can throw into the room for them. Arthur's back. Great. He's probably got beer, and I don't have beer. That's not cool, dude. Let me see. Bromo says, love you guys, sorry I was late to the gate. Kobolds. Yeah, kobolds are awesome, dude. All right. All right, so we need some terrain. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to Dungeon Fog real quick. I'm going to go into my dashboard. I have a dashboard. There we go. And we're going to make a new map. And This is going to be Kobolds 01. And we're just gonna, I think this is good. We're just gonna go with the defaults. We're gonna open up in the editor here. And I'm gonna use the parchment color background. I like that a lot. Now I am by no means an expert at this software, so you're gonna have to bear with me on this. I've been using it a little bit and I really like it, but there's still a lot of stuff I don't know about it. Little noodly stuff. And I've been doing lots of searches to figure things out. It's pretty impressive, but I'm still in the learning phase. So let's just make a room. Throw down a room. Oh, we're going to pick a wall? A floor color. All right, let's pick a floor color. I'm going to go with polished asymmetric stone tiles. Do we have like a stone? There we go. Solid stone. I had a cooler room before. I had a really cool looking stone room before. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. I like that. The wall, oops. The wall is going to be natural stone. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. There's my stone wall. All right, cool. Now let's make some rooms. I want to collapse that. And then we're going to make a basic room. I mean, I don't know. Let's assume, let's say there's some sort of corridor out here, okay? That our kobold, that the heroes are going to be walking down. Now, I don't know like what's going to necessarily be in that corridor, but let's build a little room off from here. Something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing some rooms up here, and then we're going to assume that this thing right here is going to be a corridor. I'm going to hide some of these walls just so it's obvious that we're walking down a corridor. And then I am going to throw a door on here. Dun, 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 dun. A heavy stone door. All right, heavy stone door. Bam, we have a heavy stone door. Now the cool thing is I could make this stone door. There's a little thing in here where I can make it like it needs a key. It'll put a little dot there. I can trap the door. Ooh, I can trap the door. I think we're trapping the door. This is part of our encounter. There's a trap on the door into the kobolds. So what's the trap going to be, guys? What kind of trap can we throw on this door? And then we'll make like we're not gonna build out the entire trap because I don't want to develop stats and everything for it, just because that's going to take a little bit of time. And I just got done doing a trap building live stream like 2 weeks ago, so I don't want to get into that rabbit hole. But we could definitely throw a trap here. We'll just kind of describe it verbally for the purposes of this stream. But this room, right now we have a bare room. This is what we want to avoid doing. Even if you're doing theater of the mind, you want to describe things in this room for your players, because there are those things that are in the room might be important. They might use them. There might be tables. They can flip the tables over. They can use them for cover. There might be bookcases. They could shove a bookcase over on top of a couple kobolds, pinning them down. I mean, when you introduce elements, terrain elements into the game, you're giving your players options, things that they can do to make the combat or the encounter, if you're not fighting, more interesting. So what kinds of things do we put into this room? Let me see. John Soki says higher cliffs or vantage points for the ranged kobolds or winged kobolds to snipe from. Ooh, I like that. The winged kobolds. All right, I like that idea. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to build, let me see how I would implement this. Let's say that I'm gonna build it right along. Let's say that there is like a raised platform along the back side of this room. So there we go. There is that. Now we're going to imagine this is some sort of raised platform. So what I want to do is you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I think what I can do is I can make the color of this floor a little different. So let's make that brown clay color. I think that works. There we go. So this is like a little raised part of the room. And then what I want to do is let's come into here. I like the idea of a raised part of the room. Let's hide that wall and then hide that wall. We're going to hide a bunch of these walls so that it becomes apparent that we just have like, we don't have like, you know, I'm not going to hide that one. What I can do is, I think there's a way for me to split stuff, but yeah, whatever. That's good enough. We have basically a raised, this is not a perfect map, but this gives us a basic idea. Right here, this is a raised elevated platform. So we can say that that's like about maybe 15 feet above the rest of it. So let's make a little note on our, I keep pulling the wrong one up. Let's make a little note on, so we have a, My cats are jumping all over. He just jump. He's back there. He's jumping up on the stuff. That's awesome. We have a basic room with an elevated, with a platform along the sides and back wall. How high should the platform be? I'm gonna say 15 foot high platform. There we go. Well, no, we won't call it a platform. We'll call it a ledge. There we go. There. Now we got a ledge. All right. So now, basically, then what that does is the first thing that it immediately does is if the PCs come into the room here, then you have an elevated area 15 feet off the ground. The winged kobolds are up there, and the PCs have a harder time getting at them. And this right here could be a low wall even. And the winged kobolds could like fly up over the wall, drop a rock, and then fly back down behind the wall. And then you have a situation where your players are having a hard time getting at their enemies. So that is cool. I like that. Any other ideas here? True Mate, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us, buddy. Just a bone spikes falling, spikes out of the floor on the doorway. When someone trips in the wire just across the door, not holding big rocks, the color makes it appear as a deeper floor. I would use the contrary. Yeah, that's probably a good point. All right, so we can paint it then. Let's paint this one, and then paint that one, and then now let's flip it back around, and we will make it. I think I was using that one, so now let's paint this one. There we go. There. How's that? That looks higher. The darker color is lower, and then the lighter color is higher. Awesome. Rock and roll. That's cool. That's cool how you can just switch that real quick. I use a lot of times I use Campaign Cartographer for my map drawing, but it takes some like, you know, knowledge, and you got to learn that stuff, and it's still really like nitty-gritty details, noodly trying to figure things out. And making changes like that would take a whole lot longer, I think. I mean, and the other thing is if you don't use Campaign Cartographer for, say, like a month or something, and then you come back to it, you're like, holy crap. The interface, it's a CAD program, so the interface has, like, little tiny icons all over the place. I mean, it's powerful, it can do some stuff, but it's kind of hard to use. So anyway, I'm glad we're using something a little bit easier tonight. All right, anything else? So we're going to do a trap on the door. Fierce, what up, Fierce? Glad you could join us. Fierce is like working, and he is jumping in between orders. That's awesome, man. All right, I like the idea of rocks above the door. So somebody said a tripwire, and then somebody said rocks above the door. So I like that idea. We're gonna roll with that. Let's do that, and then we will say trapped door. There is a tripwire running along the floor in just beyond the doorway. When someone trips over it, it triggers rocks to fall. Triggers rocks in a net above the door to fall on the person triggering the trap. There we go. That's good enough. I like that idea. Obviously, this is not like, it doesn't have all the mechanics around it, but that's okay. I'm okay with not working on all the mechanics. That'll just take a lot of time. All right, so we have a cool little, we have a trap added to it. We have some terrain. We have some elevations. Is there anything else that we could do to this map? Now, I know this doesn't look super interesting here just because we got like a couple colors and some walls and stuff, but we do have some elevation, which will add an interesting element to the combat, and we have a trap on the door, which also adds something interesting. So is there anything else we could do to the terrain? I mean, let's just put some furniture in here, some basic furniture. Let's see what we got going on here. An empty shelf, some beds, a chair. Here's a table. Let's throw a table in here. Let's put the table like right there, and then let's get some chairs. I can randomize the rotation on these too. So this little clicky guy there will randomize the rotation on them. And I think that's a little too big. That's like a 5 by 5 chair. That's huge. So let's cut that down to like 75%. That's a little bit more reasonable. I think something like 60 might work. So let's just throw some chairs like around this table, something like that. There we go. So now we have a table and some chairs. So when the players walk in, they have a little bit of like furniture and crap like that they can deal with. And there's a whole these like little symbols here, these props are just like a fragment of what's available as well. There's an asset library, and there is a legitimate crap load of things, little tiny like widgets, and they call them props in the software that I can put on here. So I want to find like a bookcase. Let's see if we have a bookcase in here. Oh, no bookcase. All right, let's see. Any bookcase? Any books? Book, pile of books, open book, red book, bookshelf. It's called a bookshelf. That's why I couldn't find it. Let's use the bookshelf. Now when I do that, it's gonna add it. It should add it to my list over here. There's my bookshelf. All right, sweet. Let's add this guy. Let's just put that against this far wall here. Now, the only thing is, I think that's a little too big, so I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to scale it down a little bit. I mean, we're building out, this is an important consideration, for any room, is building out the little things in it, right? And, I mean, this is important, too, because, like, after, let's say they defeat the kobolds or something, they're going to probably want to search the bookcase. This is an opportunity for you to place some interesting loot there. Instead of just having piles of gold pieces, some of those gold pieces could be valuable books that they would find. And maybe you could create some titles for them, something interesting for your players to come across. So now we're building that out. Now, let's put like a little chest or something in here, just for kicks, maybe up on the platform here. And let me see. So I don't know, I have a box. I don't know that I have a chest in here. So let's pull up the asset library and we'll see if I can find a chest. Closed chest, a small chest, a long chest. Let's do a small chest. There we go. We have a small chest. Where is that guy? I'm gonna look at it this way. Where's my chest? There's my chest. All right, so let's add the chest. Let's put it up in this corner right there. Doesn't really matter. I mean, we're not gonna get crazy specific and stuff tonight. So, all right, there we go. We have a basic room. We got some furniture. We got a bookcase. We got a chest. Something interesting for our players. We got our kobolds, all figured out here. Different numbers of them and whatnot. So, what is the room supposed to be? I don't know. It's just a room. It's a room in a dungeon, I guess. And we got kobolds in it. So, your question. What kind of room? What is the room for? What do the kobolds use this room for? That's a good question. I don't know. What do they use it for? I mean, we've got a table in there, and we have like elevated platform. We have a chest. This could be something like, I think we can name rooms. Standby. I don't know. This could just be a guard room or like a dining room or something. Oh, it could be a study. I don't know. Let's just call it something. Let's give it a room number. We'll call it K1, and the room will be like a study or something. Up on the platform, there should be useful items like Greek fire or something. Ooh, that's a good idea, dude. I like that idea. Let's just call this a study. I don't know. I'm not super creative. That's all I got. That's all I got. We got a study. All right. Yeah, I don't know if I have any, but I agree. Up in the chest. Ooh, up in the chest there could be Greek fire. So let's just throw that into our encounter. So, I mean, we're now like putting loot into the encounter. In the chest is several flasks of Greek fire. Oh, you know what we just did? We just gave our winged kobolds something that they can use against the players when they come into the room. So the winged kobolds could be carrying like flasks of Greek fire flying above the PCs, the heroes, and then dropping them down upon them. So instead of the rocks, we use Greek fire. There we go. The winged kobolds use this. Oh, I didn't even finish spelling that out. The winged kobolds use this Greek fire on the heroes. Yeah, that's it. There we go. Nice. I like it. That is a great idea. Sweetness. All right, sweet. So that's one encounter. I feel like I think we have done enough on the location and the terrain. I think that we have got the monsters fleshed out, and now we need the dramatic question. So the dramatic question is, let's see, dramatic question. So what the dramatic question gets us is, what is the situation here? What goal would the PCs have when they open this room? Are they trying to get something? Are they just coming into the dungeon just trying to kill all of the kobolds? Is there anything in particular here? Maybe the PCs have a mission or a task, and it's not just open up the door and kill everybody. So I don't know what that is. But the dramatic question helps us to frame this encounter so that it doesn't necessarily have to devolve into just slaughtering everybody, or in this case, all the kobolds. So, what happens when the entire... Hey, CMB, what's going on, man? What happens when the entire room is on fire? Fun stuff happens, man. That's all I got to say. That would be an awesome encounter. Everything's on fire. All right, back to work. All right, see you, Fierce. All right, guys. So, what's the dramatic question? Does smoke start? Yeah, I mean that's true. Smoke could start obscuring everything. Absolutely, I like that idea. I mean that's the sort of thing that on the fly, as a dungeon master, you could just throw that in and start ruling that they have dropped Greek fire on top of the heroes several times. Some of the Greek fire has landed on the table. Some of the Greek fire is over in the bookcase or something, and once the stuff starts to burn, it is giving off like a bunch of fumes and smoke, and it's making obscuring things. It's also causing like eyes to water and stuff, and people not to be able to breathe very well. And so I would absolutely, on the fly even, just create some simple mechanics to account for all of this. And this, by the way, would also affect the kobolds equally, I think. So yeah, I would make some mechanics for that, for sure. I don't know that we necessarily have to come up with all the nitty-gritty details right here, but that's definitely a great idea. All right, so Arthur says the Greek fire should be of some special use in the resolution of one puzzle in the dungeon. Something should need fire to overcome. I like that idea. So the dramatic question. So the dramatic question is, we'll say. So let us say then that the heroes are here for the purpose of getting the Greek fire. That's it. That's all they need. They don't need to kill the kobolds. They need to get the Greek fire. And if they can do that without fighting, well, then they can. Or they can just kill the kobolds. So we'll say, can the heroes obtain the Greek fire? We'll say flasks. Let's say they need a certain number of flasks of Greek fire. Let's say they need 5 of them. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe give a specific number. Now, here's the reason. This dramatic question, the reason this is important, because we have just completely changed the dynamics of this encounter. Instead of this probably turning into something where the players just go in and kill the kobolds because dungeon kobolds, we have given them a goal. They need the Greek fire. And so they might walk into the room and start negotiating with the kobolds. They might give the kobolds things in return for the Greek fire. They might persuade them, intimidate them. We have now opened up a whole bunch of different options for our players to consider instead of just opening the door and killing all the kobolds. And obviously, as Arthur mentioned, this would be part of like a different part of the dungeon perhaps, where they need it for a specific purpose, some sort of puzzle or something. Maybe there is a room full of mold that the only way to get by that room full of mold is to burn it, and they need something that can, like, Greek fire just burn stuff, obviously. So that is something else, right? We haven't created that, obviously, but that's there. So yeah, I like it. I like that dramatic question. So there we go. We have created a bunch of terrain, we've created monsters, and we have made a dramatic question. So that is awesome. Let's call that encounter a day, and let's move on to something else. So, Bob the Gaming Taco, what's up, man? Yeah, I agree, Arthur. I think we came up with a really cool encounter. It's not just your standard walk in and kill stuff, and that's what we're going for. Now, here's the thing: there's nothing wrong with encounters where you just walk in and kill everything. I think there's a lot of fun in doing that as well, and it depends on your group. However, and there's a good chance that this encounter right here is going to turn into nothing more
than your players walking in and killing everything. But as a dungeon master, at least you've done, your like preparation here to provide the opportunity for this to be something much, much more. I mean, this could turn into a really fun role-playing moment where your characters are negotiating with the kobolds and trying to get the Greek fire without using violence. And this could be so much more memorable. Think about if your players give them like garbage, some sort of shiny object that's worth nothing in exchange for the Greek fire, and the kobolds are getting all excited over it, right? And they're all excited about their little shiny object that's worth nothing, and the players just kind of take all of the Greek fire and then go along their merry way. I mean, that will be fun and entertaining, and they'll probably be laughing about those stupid kobolds several game sessions later, So we definitely came up with a cool encounter here. So Bob the Gaming Taco said anything. I keep going like this because I got to look around. I should actually just move my microphone. There we go. So now I can actually see my live chat better. Bob the Gaming Taco says, perhaps the question is that the big bad has many places for enemies to attack in the main room, so maybe the party has to weaken the final encounter by removing the big bad. Yeah, that could definitely be. I mean, that could be something too. Build that into. I've done adventures like that before too, where like in a situation like this, you'd have little rooms all off in here, and the more you take out or neutralize, the fewer will be in the final encounter. There are some games that are built like that that I can think of as well. But yeah, that could be a thing too. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to something different. We had mentioned doing a different type of kobold encounter as well, using some of the things from Volos. So let me save this. I want to make sure I save this before I lose it. I'm going to pop over to Volos, and we're going to look at some of the kobolds in Volos Guide to Monsters. Kobolds. I love kobolds, by the way.
I have this like really cool voice that I use for kobolds. Whenever I run a kobold in a game, it uses this voice right here. And for whatever reason, everybody seems to like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm like losing my voice. I've been talking too long. Now I can't do my kobold voice. But anyway, I do that kobold voice, and like everybody seems to like it. Very few people want to kill kobolds in my games. They always want to make friends with the kobolds because I think they just like having the little kobold, the little dumb little kobold with that voice like traveling around with them. So, kobold. Where are we with kobolds? It's a K. It is a K. It is a K. Here we go. All right. So here are a couple different types. I think there are 3 of them. We have a Kobold Dragon Shield. This guy is cool. I was playing an adventure not too long ago with one of my groups, and they were running into all of these like little wussy kobolds and slaughtering them. And then they ran into some of these kobolds right here, totally threw them for a loop. They were expecting things to just die in one hit. And I had like about 4 of these, and one guy jumped in the middle of them thinking he's just gonna go and like hit and kick them. He was a monk, hit and kick them to death, and he got dropped fast by these nasty guys. And so that was like kind of like a bait and switch thing. Like they were kind of lured into complacency, like, oh, stupid kobolds, whatever. And then they ran into these guys and they got in trouble. We got those guys. Somebody had mentioned doing a kobold inventor, which are pretty cool. These guys, like, they basically, you roll a die and then they pull different things out of like their bag or their various inventions that are hanging off from them, and they can use them in the combat. And then I believe we have a sorcerer. Yeah, we have a kobold sorcerer. So that is a challenge level 1 as well. Now, this is what I want to do. We're going to build an encounter with 3 of these guys. Now, I want to show you something real quick too, because what's going to happen? So what happens? I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a little demonstration here of what happens. When you have to, if we have, give me a second, let me find Volo's guide. So if you are running an encounter and you have, we're about to build an encounter with 3 creatures in it. And if we are, can there be elemental? If we could do stuff from, we could do elemental stuff as well, if that's what you're asking, CMB. But if we're going to build an encounter with 3 creatures, then usually, especially if you're using the monster manual, if you have the different creatures, they're all on different pages, right? And so, like, what you end up doing, I mean, you might use, like, the little sticky notes to mark where their places are, but you end up, like, flipping back and forth, you know? Like, you got one creature here, you run his turn, and then you got to flip over here, and then you got to flip over here. and then you're constantly doing that. That is a big pain in the butt. And so what I did a while ago, and I'm gonna grab. This is like show and tell time. Show and tell. They sell these things. I made these myself, but they sell these things. But what I did a while ago is I started creating all of these little cards like this. It's just a 3.5 card, and I just print off the stat block on the back side, and I print off like a picture of the monster here. This is the cloud giant, and then I have a stone giant here, and then I have a hill giant here, and they have the stat blocks on the back side. And so basically, I mean, I make all these things. It takes some time, and I got to print them all and stuff. But basically what it allows me to do is I lay these things out in front of me at the game table, and then I don't got to flip back and forth in a book. And this is so incredibly useful. I know that there is a company that makes monster cards as well. And I would totally buy a whole bunch of them from them, except that they don't have like the entire monster manual done. They're doing it in like waves, and they're kind of like randomized which monsters there are. So until they just sell the entire monster manual on cards, I'll just keep creating my own. So anyway, my point in showing you all that is that is a really useful thing to have when you are running several monsters in one encounter, to avoid having to do the whole flippy back and forth thing. Oh man, I'm out of coffee. That's gonna be a problem. I have water though. I have more coffee over there. All right. Let me get caught up on the chat, and then we're going to create another encounter here. Arthur says, my players would do this type of action first any day of the week. They are not the type who fight over anything. Cool. That's awesome, dude. I have one. So I run 4 groups, and one of the groups for sure is definitely one that's more inclined to talk. One of the groups is probably more of your walk in and kill everything. I think 3 of my groups are more inclined to talk first and try to work things out before they just kill things. So I like that. Michael Grimes, what's going on, buddy? Let's see. For the area that needs the Greek fire to burn off the mold, need to clue the PCs that the mold burns, but only with the extreme heat generated by the Greek fire. But regular fire just... I agree. I absolutely, dude. So when you're building out that other room over there, you would want to definitely make sure that you hit on those points. And you would probably want to give them some sort of clue that they could find the Greek fire elsewhere, or at least have them go hunting for it. I mean, if you somehow clued them in that they needed something stronger to burn through it, then you know your players, they might actually go looking for it, thinking that, oh, the DM probably put something in the game. Or you could have hinted that that thing exists somewhere in the dungeon as well. So there are different ways to do that, but I agree that's a good idea, good way to go about the mold room. Matthew Perkins, what's up, dude? How you doing? He says he does the same thing. I made them all for SRD. Yeah, dude. Oh. I think I seem to remember like a post of yours or something about that, Matthew. Yeah, interesting. Did you do all of them for like all of the monster manual, like every single one, like A through Z sort of thing? And the other thing too. I mean, if just the stat blocks alone are useful, but what about like pictures on the front side? And that's where it gets a little more difficult, I think. Too. Oh, just for the SRD. Yeah, the pictures get difficult because to actually sell that sort of thing, you have to have rights for them and all that kind of stuff. But at least having the stat blocks is super helpful, just laid out in front of you. Yeah, these cards are made, like, seriously, you guys, like this thing right here, like all of these are pretty much all cards that I printed off. This thing probably represents, like, I don't know, a month of my life. You know, not all at once, obviously, but like, you know, every time I run a new adventure and I need more cards, I just keep printing them off. But this thing right here, like, you know, if my house were burning down, I would, you know, make sure my like wife and daughter were out, but then I would come for this box. This would be the thing that I want to make sure I salvage from my house before it burns down. Now I have all of the electronic files and stuff to save those, so I could reprint them, but that's a big pain in the butt. So anyway. Alan says, could you do a video on making the monster cards? I could. I'd be doing a video teaching you how to break the law. Because I pull the images off from Google Images, so they're all copyrighted. And
I have all of these PDFs, which technically are not supposed to exist, and I use like a screen grabbing software to grab the stat blocks. So I could do that at some point. I don't know if that is a good idea on my part. Tucker Emery, what's going on, dude? Good to see you, man. He says, even if you're running, see here, this is what happens, guys. This is what happens. Like, we're doing encounter building, and I say we're gonna do something, and then I start reading the chat, and we get all behind. But that's okay, because this is all about hanging out, and I like reading chat. Tucker says, even if running a game online or in person, it makes a ton of sense to me to print out the stat blocks. It's such a hindrance when the DM spends minutes flipping between. Oh, absolutely, dude. Like, one of my goals as the dungeon master, whenever I run any game anywhere, is to not have my players waiting on me as much as possible or as little as possible. My goal, if they're not waiting on me for things, then I'm winning, right? So I want to streamline things. I want to have the adventure memorized and in my brain as much as possible so that I'm not reading the stupid module or my notes trying to find out what happens. I want to have a good idea of all that stuff so that the players aren't sitting there like, Luke, hurry up, and then pulling out their phones and getting distracted. So absolutely. Totally agree with you, dude. Yeah, Matthew says, I did every monster from every book, but only published in the SRD ones. Yeah, I get it, because only the ones in the SRD are the ones I think that you could probably like monetize and put out there. So yeah, you wouldn't be able to do pictures. You'd have to hire like independent artists and stuff to draw the pictures and stuff, and that'd be expensive. You can print them black and white and scribble. Yeah, that's cool, dude. Haven't seen the official Gale Force 9 ones, though. Hey, Matthew, since we've been talking about it, it'd be okay if you dropped a link to your thing on, what do you want to call it? Monster Guild? Guildmaster? DM's Guild? There we go. I knew I'd get that eventually. Feel free to drop a link down there in the chat for everybody, since we're talking about it. People might find it helpful. There we go. Alan says, never mind, don't want us going to jail. Yeah, I mean, my whole goal, I like to help you guys out, but that's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if I'd get in trouble for that. So, all right, cool. Let's keep going, guys. I got to the bottom of the chat there. Bum, 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 bum. We're going to create some more encounters here. So let's go back over to our Word document and Kobolds 01. And then we're like on a Kobold kick tonight. We're not going to do Kobolds forever. We need to do some higher level stuff too. But let's do a Kobolds 02. And we're going to terrain. We're definitely going to have some terrain and a dramatic question. So we'll need this stuff. I don't know that we're necessarily going to need that stuff. And I'll get rid of that. And I'll get rid of that. And then, this needs to be a period. See, I'm a writer by profession, a technical writer. And so when I have a colon here and a period here, that flips me out. So I got to fix that. We're going to insert a encounter table. Boom. And I mean, technically, you know what? That was dumb. I'm just gonna copy this one because some of that stuff is already filled in for me. We'll get that guy gone. Now we weren't gonna use. I don't think we were gonna use the winged kobolds again. Actually, you know what I want to do? This is what I want to do. I don't want to use these kobolds either. I want to use the kobold dragon shields. And then I want to use, what was the other one called? It was like an inventor or something. A kobold inventor. All right. Let's kobold inventor. Awesome. And then we're going to go to, what was the other thing? Kobold scale sorcerer. All right. It's a scale sorcerer. I don't know why it's a scale sorcerer. Like that makes a difference or something. Now, the Kobold Scale Sorcerer is 200 XP. The Inventor is 50, and the Dragon Shield's 200. So let's pop over to our site over here, and we're gonna need another row. Let's get this crap out of here. So one of those guys was 50. The Inventor was 50. Let's have the Inventor be the middle one, and then the
that guy. There we go. Boom. Awesome. I'm just going to fill in 1 for each. There. And we're going to reset this to level 1. All right. So now we're ready to start hashing out some basic numbers. And I'm going to fly through this really quick, and I'm going to fill out the numbers. What I want you guys to do, we need to start thinking about terrain. All right. So that is one of our questions here. The terrain for the encounter and the dramatic question. So, I mean, we need to decide, like, what kind of room this is going to be in, how big the room is going to be in, if there's any, I mean, the important characteristics, a description, stuff that's in the room. We want to think about a dramatic question. You know, what about, besides just killing the kobolds, what could be happening in this encounter? What options can we give our PCs to help them navigate this encounter without just killing everything? So start thinking about those things if you would, guys. And I'm just going to start filling in the challenges stuff here. So at level 1, this is going to be rough. If I just put 1 of each in, I have a deadly encounter already. I don't think we can do that at level 1. I'm going to take out the sorcerer. And that's still hard. So I have 1 dragon shield kobold. I'm going to put 2 of the dragon shields in there. And it's still deadly. It's a little bit over deadly. That's a rough encounter. 2 and 1. All right, that's life. That's what you get at level 1. You should have leveled up to level 2 before you took on some of these nasty kobolds. What did I just do? That is crazy. I just look at that. I have a triple underline now on my word. All right, we'll just copy this here. That should fix it. So, deadly. I think I put 2 of these guys and then 1 kobold inventor. And then I'm not going to have any of the sorcerers for level 1. Oh, we got some good ideas already. Nice. Underwater. Yeah, except the kobolds can't breathe underwater. So that could be a problem. Collapsing roof could work. That could be a nice trap to go off in the room. 0 gravity could be a thing. And then we're just talking about like flying through space and stuff. I like the collapsing roof idea. So anyway, let's keep working here. And now it's going to get easier. Once we get to level 2. See, now that it's still deadly. Oh my gosh. It's still deadly. So we're gonna leave the exact same thing here for level 2, and let's go on to level 3. Character level 3. Oh, here we go. That's getting better now. Now it's only hard. What happens if I throw in the sorcerer? There we go. That's not that bad. See, now once we get to level 3, I can have 2 of the kobold dragon shields, 1 of the inventors, and 1 of the sorcerers, and I'm at hard. So that's not that bad. And the reason that we want to have a variety here is that if this turns into a combat, these kobold dragon shields aren't going to engage the players like in melee, while the kobold inventor kind of stands back and does his thing, and likewise the sorcerer is going to stand back and do her thing. So that gives having a different enemy types and different variety of monsters makes the combat more interesting in and of itself. And so I always, whenever possible, I like to sprinkle at least 2 different enemy types into an encounter. And that makes things more interesting. So I think we got that going on. And so it becomes a hard, and I threw in a kobold dragon shield. So that becomes hard. I have 2 of those, I have 1 of those, and I have 1 of those. Now once we go to level 4, see, this doesn't really take that long to fill all of these out, and then in the future, I am prepared. I'm at medium. I want this to be harder than that. What if I throw in an extra inventor? An inventor doesn't make it that much harder. I don't want to have 2 sorcerers, do I? What can a kobold sorcerer even do? How nasty are these things for real? Ooh, a heightened spell, a subtle spell, pack tactics, cantrips, firebolt, charm person, chromatic orb. Chromatic orb's decent amount of damage. Scorching ray is really cool. Okay, that's cool. He's a little ranged nuker. Little squishiness going on, but that's not too bad. We can do that. All right. Anyway, so I have a medium. Let's add another one of these dragon shields in the front lines. There we go. Now we got some coolness going on. So now at level 4, we have 3 dragon shields that'll be locking the players down in melee, 2 of the inventors who will be doing crazy stuff with their inventions, and then 1 sorcerer in the back lines. So there we go. We got a 3-2-1 going on. I like that. And what was the difficulty again for that? The difficulty for that came out to be a hard. Awesome. That's the wrong button. That's the wrong button. Cool. There. Now we have an interesting mix of enemies. I think it gets a little bit better when we get to levels 3 and 4. I think that the monsters we chose for levels 1 and 2 are just too high level. It didn't allow us to really create, in my opinion, what would be a really interesting mix of monsters and numbers. But it's not horrible. It just isn't my ideal. So there we go. All right, we got the monsters numbers figured out. Let's see what we got going on over here. We got some ideas going on. Arthur says it should be an alchemical room. The party needs to be successful in a knowledge check to know how the other room needs the Greek fire to be overcome. Okay, how would that work for this room? Bromo says 60 foot plus dark, high ceilings. You can add allies or enemies as the combat changes. Yeah, that's true. If it turns out to be really easy, or you could have waves. You could design waves into the combat. Absolutely, an encounter with waves. I like it. Kobold's looking for an alchemy thing. The sorcerer and inventor had a fight inventor 1. I'm not sure what that means. How about a maze? Yeah, you could have a maze. We could build out a maze. Bounty Hunter, what's going on, man? How would the maze... Ooh, a maze could be interesting. Because then you have lots of corners and stuff, and we could put pits in the maze. I think I like that idea. Tucker says, room that's a 4-way intersection in a warren. Put an inventor on a balcony of sorts that can be knocked down by attacking the dirt or rock supporting it. I like that idea. Yeah, an inventor. I'm thinking a maze with elevated parts where the inventors and sorcerers could be, and the dragon shield kobolds are in there as well. We could even make the maze like a squeezed maze, so it's not quite 5 feet. It could be like 3 feet wide, so all of the PCs, when they go in there, are squeezed, and they're moving at half speed. They're attacking with disadvantage. All of the kobolds are attacking with advantage because they're small creatures. I mean, that sort of stuff, that's where we're getting nasty. Players don't like that stuff. They're like, oh man, we're all squeezed all the time. They don't like that. I know, because I've run adventures like that before, and my players didn't like it. But that's life. I mean, you're fighting little kobolds and little goblins. I mean, you're going to be squeezed sometimes. So, I like that idea. I don't know, Arthur. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go with your alchemy idea. So, how we can incorporate that into the room? I'm going to start drawing out a quick little maze here. All right. So let us do something. Let me zoom out. Zoom out. Oh no! I don't have any room on my map. I will add some more room. Let's add this to the right. Something like that. Is that enough? I think I need to add something to the top maybe. Let's add stuff to the top. And then I'm going to add a little bit to the bottom here. There we go. And then let me zoom out again. Zoom me out. Zoom me out. Zoom me out. Because what I'm thinking of doing here is I can add this maze somewhere over here, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Try to think about how I would implement this. It could just be one big room with maze. An open room with multiple levels within a maze would be a good juxtaposition against the claustrophobic tunnels. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So I want to just start building something out here. It's not going to be super like specific, I think, or like super well done. But it's going to give us something to work with. Was it brown clay we did before? I'm pretty sure it was brown clay. So I'm going to just start off by let's have this. I'm just gonna draw this up to there, and then let's come over to here. I'm trying to get an idea here for how we could do all of this. We're gonna have a little bit of an irregularly shaped room. I'm just kind of, there we go. And I'm gonna turn this into a maze. let me see. I need a door. We need a door. Let's get ourselves a door. Heavy stone door. A jar. Heavy stone door. There we go. There's a door. I need a bigger door. I can't even see it. I need to zoom in. There we go. And give me a door. I need a double door. Where's my double door? I thought there was an archway with double doors. Oh, there we go. Let's do this. Bam. Awesome. And now I need to start adding little rooms on the inside here. So now those are going to be a little bit different. I need to have a different floor color for like the solid parts that you can't go through. So I'm going to make it dark stone, and that should be good. And then I'm going to start building like little corridors in here. So something like that. And what I'm going to start, now what I'm doing here is I got like a little corridor going this way. And so, and I'm going to build something that comes around like that. Now I'm just kind of doing this on the fly, guys. I mean, this is not going to be like the world's best maze or anything by any stretch of the imagination, because I'm just kind of doing this on the fly without having thought this through at all. Sorry. My throat is getting like hoarse and stuff from talking too much. So this is not like, obviously if we had more time and we were to sketch this out on graph paper and stuff, I think that we would probably come up with like conceptually something that looks a little cleaner or something. And this is not like a super good maze either. Arthur says we should use the room to force the players to know something about the encounter. Okay, how would we do that? What were your ideas for that? And I'm going to keep drawing. Keep drawing. And let's see. Here, could probably do something like this. Oh, that turned black for some reason. Huh, that's interesting. Let's see. I think I want to have something like that there. Whoops, close that up. And then go like there. I don't know if this is how well this is gonna work, guys. I have something here. So I have a room with like tunnels and stuff in it. What else can I do to this? I think we wanted to have platforms where our like the sorcerer and the inventors would be sitting on the platforms. Tucker says this could be close to the beginning of the maze. A kobold inventor has gotten cornered on a platform that is eroding from the attacks of some other creature that has broken into the tunnel. That's interesting. Provides the opportunity to help the kobolds instead, but also gives insight into their mechanics. Ooh, that's interesting. I like that idea. Let's do something. Let's put some platforms in here. And let me see. I thought I had some sort of platform that, there we go. We'll use this for our platform. I don't know how to collapse this stuff. I wish I knew how to collapse this right-hand side right here. Because I always get to where I want to collapse this stuff and then I can't collapse it. But anyway, let's put some platforms. Oh, this is way too big. 50? 50 is better. Let's put this platform right there. And then this seems like a good place for, I don't want to randomize the rotation today. I think we could put a platform about right there. And then we put a platform. The only problem with with having these guys locked down on a platform, you guys, is that the players, the whole this kind of falls apart a little bit now that I think about it, because the whole idea of having this many, oh gosh, I keep pulling up the wrong stupid thing. The whole idea of having these numbers here is that if this turns into a fight, the PCs would be fighting them all at once. Once we start putting them into, like, separating them like this, if they come upon the sorcerer and he's up on a platform and they're fighting the sorcerer all by itself, the PCs are going to clean up. They're going to destroy that sorcerer. And then they're going to destroy, if they encounter the other pieces by themselves, they're going to destroy all of them. And so we actually kind of broke our encounter a little bit. We don't have time to, like, remake the whole thing, so we're just going to force forward. But breaking up the elements of the encounter makes it, like, probably trivial. Probably won't be very hard. But we're just going to keep going. I like the idea of having this kobold sorcerer up here, or the kobold inventor, one of the kobold inventors up here, and something has kind of, like, broken in. I think I can get, like, an archway right here, and I can put something in right here. So there we go. Let's say, what kind of little things could have broken in and have him cornered up there? Yeah, we got these things here. Let's get some. I want to know what kind of creature could have come in and cornered the little kobold, and maybe it's a baby Umber Hulk. A little baby Umber Hulk has, like, burrowed in and is clawing away at the pillar that the kobold inventor is on. All right, let's write that. I like that idea. We're gonna go with that. Let's see. So we'll say a kobold inventor is on the pillar in the top right corner of the. We'll call it northeast. Northeast corner of the room. A baby Umber Hulk. And somebody somewhere will have to create stats for a baby Umber Hulk. I'm not doing it tonight. We are just creating ideas here. We're not actually fleshing out all the particular details here. Somebody else will have to do that when he has more time and isn't trying to stream at the same time. A baby Umber Hulk has burrowed into the room and is tearing. How do you spell tearing? Oh man. There we go. I got it. It is tearing down the pillar. There we go. The kobold inventor is frantic and needs help. There we go. I like that idea. There we go. All right, let's see. Bounty Hunter says maybe the kobolds could put in fake kobold dummies in their place on the platform to trick. Ah, that's interesting. Or the kobold inventor accidentally dropped its jar of rot grubs and can't get down. Rot grubs? What is that? Rot grubs. That's one of the things he has, right? So what do those do? It says the kobold throws a clay pot into a 5-foot square. Rot grubs. Oh, and it remains a hazard. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting, and it can't get down. I like that too. That's a good idea. We could also do that. There's no right answer. That is easily something we could do for sure. And so let's say we have like all of these things, and then we will say that the kobold, the other kobold inventor and sorcerer are on the other pillars in the room. All right, so we got those on the other pillar. Moral dilemmas are the best. Yeah, absolutely. Are they gonna help kill the Umber Hulk, save the inventor? What are they gonna do? So I like that. And then what if we have like all of the kobolds are like climbing up on top of the pillars? What if we have more Umber Hulks? What if we have like an Umber Hulk at the base of each pillar, right? And then the kobolds are like fighting the Umber Hulks, and then the PCs have to like decide what they're gonna do, and they might kill the Umber Hulks and rescue the kobolds. That could be something that they do as well. Of course, Hey Josh, what is going on, dude? Good to see you. Glad you can make it, man. Of course, the other thing is that we now have really just designed an encounter around Umberhulks instead of an encounter around kobolds. I feel like we've like totally gone down the rabbit hole with this encounter. And these are all really cool ideas. I like all of these ideas. They're just going a different bunch of directions. So, an infestation of Umberhulks. It could be, you know. What? So here's the thing. Let's do this. Let's. I like this idea. So instead of fighting the kobolds, let's just. I mean, this is one encounter. So this is kobolds 2, option A. Let's get this out of here. This is what I'm gonna do. We're gonna create a variation of the first encounter. All right, really quick. This is gonna be option B, because we're really got two possibilities for an encounter. We'll say that right there. And then we will say this is the first version of this encounter is assuming that they're going to fight the kobolds, and then the second version of the encounter could have the Umberhulks down in there. So the kobold dragon shields are spaced about the room. All right, so let's finish this off. We're going to get onto the Umberhulk one in a second, but right here, let's get this going here. We got some terrain. I think we already have some terrain. There is like a maze-like room with elevated pillars. All right, that's good enough. Dramatic question. So assuming no Umberhulks, just assuming the kobolds in the room, what could be the dramatic question for this encounter besides just kill the kobolds? Give me some dramatic questions for this. Once we peg this dramatic question down, we're going to shift gears over to our Umberhulk option B encounter, and then we're going to flesh that out. And I think the option B encounter is probably more interesting than the option A encounter. But just for the sake of finishing it off, let's do something here. Yeah, it's getting very complicated. Absolutely. But I think it's getting interesting. I think it's definitely getting interesting. The details and the noodliness is like working out all of like the details and how this all kind of works, right? And the thing too, I think, is that when we're putting it on paper, or in this case on a computer screen, it's a little more difficult to like figure everything out. But if we were actually running this at the game table, I think that we could take a little more liberty with some of the stat blocks, hit points, and stuff like that. And I don't think we would necessarily get bogged down quite as much in all the little details, because you just kind of wing it a little bit and just make it happen, I think, sometimes, if you feel comfortable doing that. Dramatic question. Are the tunnels caving in? But what is the dramatic question needs to tie into some sort of goal or mission that the players would have in that room. Like, why are they in that room? What is their objective in that room? The dramatic question needs to somehow tie into that. So, I mean, it could be, a dramatic question could be, can the heroes get through the tunnel before it collapses? But this encounter isn't a tunnel, right? There are kobolds in there. So, what can we do for a dramatic question? That's my question. Let's go back to the map. I'm going to go back to the map. I don't know what the dramatic question is. I have no idea. We're just doing this on the fly. And it's hard to think. It's hard for me to think when I'm live streaming. So that's why I'm relying on you guys to give me ideas for the dramatic question. What if there could be something in there they need to retrieve, but we already did a retrieval type dramatic question in here. And so what kind of dramatic question could they have in here? There's got to be something in here. I don't know what it is. There needs to be something. If you guys come up with something, throw it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm moving on, because I want to get onto our Umberhulk encounter, because I think that's more interesting. We have little baby Umberhulks, so I'm gonna throw up a. So we know what the dramatic question is, right? The dramatic question for the baby Umberhulk encounter is going to be, I'll give a little heading here. The dramatic question, I think, for that is going to be, you know, will the heroes help the kobolds or let them perish? Right? That could be the dramatic question. It could be something else. I don't know. But that kind of works. And then what I want to do is we need to find a stat block for the baby Umber Hulks. So what I want to do, now we're not going to make this from scratch. Making stat blocks from scratch is a lot of work and a big pain in the butt. What we're going to do is we're going to find something similar to the, actually, you know what we could do? Let's just go to Umber Hulk. We might just tone them down a little bit. They're a CR5. The problem with even toning them down is that we'd have to tone them down a lot for it not to like totally be horrible. Tucker says, well, with the Umber Hulks and dramatic question, is there something more threatening in the tunnels? Yeah, the dramatic question needs to have some sort of like, it sets up the encounter, right? Like, you know, will the heroes, you know, save the kobolds from the Umber Hulks? Will the heroes get this? Or will the heroes be able to sneak through the corridor without raising the alarm? It usually sets off, most dramatic questions, I think, that I create at least, kind of start off with, will the heroes ... Will they be able to do something? Is there something, some objective or something, you know? Will the heroes convince the evil overlord that they are on his side? You know, those are the sorts of things I think we're going for with dramatic questions. Little CMB says, the heroes know something that Umber Hulks are somehow that Umber Hulks are coming, and they need to get in an ambush to destroy the Hulks. Yeah, they could do that. I mean, I think, but we're setting up. We'd be setting up another encounter, though. We would need to abandon this one and then set something else up, right? Where we have them talk to some other kobolds that warn them that there are Umber Hulks coming, right? So, I mean, we could have something where they would talk to these kobolds over here in this room, who would then tell them that, you know, monsters are going to attack over here, and then the players could come over here to this room, and then they could talk to the kobolds up here, and, you know, they could set up their own little ambush for when the Umber Hulks come out, and then they fight on the side of the kobolds. You could absolutely do that. You could totally do that. Absolutely. I think we would be, that's a different encounter, right? Which is fine, you know. So what I want to do, though, is I want to get some stat blocks for the Umber Hulks. And, I mean, we just made up an encounter. Right there, little CMB, that's an entire encounter we just made up. Now, we only verbalized it. We didn't, like, actually write it all down on paper and whatnot. But absolutely, that is a separate encounter. And that would be lots of fun for the players, I think. I want to get a stat block, though. So the Umber Hulk is, like, way too powerful. Even if we did something like an ogre, it would be, like, way too powerful. So I usually try to take something. Let's go to something like, what about a goblin? I could use like a goblin stat block. What level are goblins? Oh, a goblin boss. Ooh, a goblin boss is a CR1. I could probably do something like that. It could be a goblin. Oh, it has a pretty good armor class, which makes sense for an Umber Hulk. So a CR, let's use a goblin boss. Yeah. Let's just, so this is just reskinning. We're taking a stat block and we're reskinning it. We're going to say that the goblin boss is the Umber Hulk. And, I mean, you could pick anything. You know, I'm just picking something randomly to get it done. Because I don't have any better ideas off the top of my head. But this kind of works. So, let's do that. Alright, so, Umber Hulk. Baby Umber Hulk. We will say... Unbold. Oh, man. Use Goblin Boss stat block. There we go. So let's just do this real quick. I'm going to copy... Whoops, that's the wrong button. We're going to copy this over to there. And then we will do this... Baby Umber Hulk, Goblin, Boss. And we're just going to decide basically how many of these that we're going to have in the room. And Goblin Boss is 200 XP. So we're going to have these guys at level 1. And we'll have 0 of these, 0 of these, and 4 Goblin Bosses. That's crazy. Could they fight 1? No, that's easy. So we'll do 2 of these things. So if it's a level 1, we can only have 2 of them, and that's a deadly. And it's a little bit over their deadly threshold, so I don't think it's too big of a deal. So let's do deadly there, and we're gonna have 2 of them. And then over here, we gotta do level 2, and that's still kind of hard. So over here we could still have 2 of them. So we could do deadly, and then we could do 2 of them. Wait, no, it's hard. It's hard. It's not deadly. It's hard. And then over here, level 3, and we have to make 3 of these, and then it's hard. So, gosh, man, I keep pulling up the wrong thing. I'm just gonna close that. There we go. Hard, and I think I had 3 of these. Now, once we get to level 4 of them. And we're going to have probably 4 of them. There we go. So at level 4, we'll have 4 of them. All right. So those are our basic numbers that we'll have for them. All right. And so the basic idea then what we got going on is in this room, there are kobolds. They are up on the pillars. And we have little baby Umber Hulks that are like attacking them. They're like trying to bring down the pillars. So that's our basic setup for this encounter so far. And let's see what we got going on over here. Tucker, you're killing me, man. He says, possibilities. Scratch Umber Hulks. Maybe an intellect devourer got to one of the kobolds and is now trying to kill the others. Which one is the real kobold? Dude, that's a good idea. I like that idea. I mean, obviously, that's a whole nother encounter, but that's a really good idea. We could totally do that. That's really cool. My cat's down here. He needs attention. He needs attention. Neogly in Volos. Oh, Neogly. That rings a bell. I'm not super familiar with that. Let's go look at that. All right, an N. An N. I know I can find an N. Neogly. Ooh, a Neogly hatchling. Let's zoom in a little bit. Come on, baby. Zoom in. Zoom in. Oh, wow. Those are pretty mean. Those are mean, dude. Well, the hatchling. The hatchling is really weak. And then those are cool, though. I like those. Yeah, those are really hard. Like, if we were designing this for, like, level 5 or so, then we could use these things, you know. But for levels 1, 2, and 3, these creatures are going to be nasty. Not the hatchlings. The hatchlings are pretty easy. But those guys right there would be pretty rough. All right. Bounty Hunter says, maybe the players find out the kobolds in option A have families that are hidden away to keep safe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they have to decide whether or not to kill them. Yeah, absolutely. That's a possibility. Tucker says they could have caved in the entrance to where they are hidden so the creatures can't get to the families. Could provide an opportunity for kobolds to beg the party to help. Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I like the whole idea of the kobolds asking the party for help. I like the idea of the party helping the kobolds, doing things to help them and stuff like that, instead of just killing them, right? Because everybody just kills kobolds. So having a different situation to make things more interesting is great. And moral dilemma, absolutely. Another moral dilemma. So there we go. All right, we have... So I think this is kind of fleshed out. We have Umber Hulks coming in, and there we go. And we have stat blocks for them. So I think that's pretty cool. And I mean, we just brainstormed a whole bunch of other ideas for other encounters in this Kobold dungeon. I mean, you could basically, with all the different things that we brainstormed, intellect devourers and all this other stuff, we could easily have, you know, several other rooms that we flesh out in this Kobold dungeon based on these ideas. And we'd have a pretty legitimate adventure for our players to run, I feel. So, awesomeness. All right, guys, this is what I'm going to do now. It is 9:40, so I'm going to take an intermission break. And then when we come back, we will create another encounter. Now, what I want to do when we come back, guys, is I want to create a higher level encounter. We need to do something higher. Something around level 5, 6, 7, and 8, maybe. And because that's going to allow us to use different monsters, more powerful monsters, more interesting monsters. So what I want you to do is start thinking about... My cat's going nuts down here. Start thinking about the different types of monsters you would want to design an encounter around. Now, at levels 5, 6, 7, and 8, we're probably talking about monsters CR3, CR4, and CR5 are probably good monster, like, challenge ratings for us to start with. So, there you go. Start thinking about ideas for monsters we want to design our next encounter with, and when I get back, we will design an encounter. All right, here we go. We are back. All right, I see a couple ideas down in the chat here. We have elementals, gargoyles, a water weird. Ooh. We could do a water elemental and some water weirds. That would be interesting. Gargoyles are cool. What if we did all of them? What could go with those? What kind of things could go well with that? Let's go over to our monster manual and let's just take a look at elementals. A water elemental. CR5, okay, that would work. Now, water elemental it has a low armor class, decent amount of hit points, and does a good amount of damage. What would complement? So a water elemental is like an upfront melee type. We need something that would maybe be like an archer, a ranged type, like some sort of caster. I'm wondering if there's something over in the Princes of the Apocalypse book that we could steal from, because there's lots of elemental stuff over in that book. Stand by. Where are my... I'm going to go over there and see if I can... I'm going to pull that module up, and we're going to see if we can steal a monster or an NPC or whatever from the back of that module, because that could work really well for us. Where is... I gotta look for my stuff. Where is this thing? There it is. Come on. Open. There we go. We got it? All right, we're going to see what we can steal from here. The back cover. I don't really have a table of contents worked out too well for this bad boy. Oh, scrolling takes forever. I'm probably not even going to... All right, let's look at the table of contents. Table of contents is probably more efficient than scrolling forever. Crushing Wave cultists are on page 205. All right, we're looking for a melee. Am I pushing the right button? There we go. Well, here we go. Crushing Wave Priest. Well, that's a CR2. That's kind of low. Unless we had several of them. Oh, but they have Hold Person? They have Sleet Storm? That's not bad. That's not bad. Crushing Wave Reaver, that is a melee type. A Knight, that's a melee type. A Fathomer, One-Eyed Shiver. Ooh, One-Eyed Shivers are cool. I've used those. Shoaler Quad. Oh, here's a cool one. Ooh, this is nice. Tidal Wave. Ooh, that's a cool one. And he's a CR4. Let's use that guy right there. Let's use this Shoalar Quandaril. How do I get my cursor? Oh, dear. Here we go. My select tool. There we go. We could use that guy. So this is what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking, a green hag. Mephits. Oh, that's true. Water, like a mephit. Yeah, we could do like mephits or something. I think they're like mud mephits. You guys, what if we had a couple water elementals in like some sort of room, like a dirt floor, and the water elementals are like getting everything all muddy, which is creating difficult terrain, which makes it difficult. That's what difficult terrain does. It makes it difficult for the players to like go across the ground. So you have water elementals creating muddy, difficult terrain, and then you have mephits that come up. And so there you have some interesting terrain already going on. And that's cool. We could do that. I like mephits. A green hag. Yeah, green hag. Ooh, green. Ooh. So the green hag. There's a different type of hag. There is a hag. Let me see. We're getting some good ideas here. There is a different type of hag. So far I have some mephits, some mud mephits, a water elemental, and then there's a green hag. Where's the H's? Where are the H's? A sea hag. That's what I was thinking. We could do a green hag, right? However, the reason I was thinking about a sea hag is because we already have this like nautical theme, water theme, water elemental, mud mephits, and then you have a sea hag, right? And so that kind of all plays together. So this room, I'm imagining this room might be some sort of, it could be the sea hag's lair. And in its lair, it has like summoned a couple water elementals, and the water elementals are creating like a bunch of mud, which is creating a sort of like interplanar portal. And these mud mephits are like crossing over from like, I think in between like the planes of earth and water, there's like a mud plane or something like that. I don't know. You'd have to look at your like DMG, that like wheel of planes and crap like that. But that is, I think that's an interesting idea. Maybe. All right. Mephit summoning shenanigans. Yeah. Everything in that room is aquatic. Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's a theme, right? Yeah, we're building on a theme. Let's build that out real quick. Just let's punch some numbers in and build that out. Now, a sea hag is 450 x. What we need to do here is this is going to be the Sea Hag Lair. That is the name of our encounter that we are building, the Sea Hag Lair. And we're going to insert my quick part for my stat block right there. And we're going to say levels 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, you don't always have to do this. You could just build this for one specific level, but I like to do this. So we have mud mephits. We have water elemental. And then we have a sea hag. Now, we know the sea hag was... I need to get all their XPs because... Oh, that's the wrong button. That's my Discord server. By the way, guys, if you're since I pulled that up, where'd that go? If you guys are interested in, oh, that's not even gonna work right there. Let's go to the live stream window. Bam. Oh, look at this. That's copyrighted content. I can't show that. If you guys are interested in like hanging out with all of us over on Discord, there is a link down in the description to my Discord server. There's quite a few of us over there. We have some new folks over there, like new Dungeon Masters, people that have just begun running the game. And there are other people, the veterans from a long, long time over there. And so it's a great place to just kind of like ask people for help and questions and hang out with other people and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, there you go. There was a quick plug for you. Totally not planned. All right. So the Sea Hag is how much? It's a CR2, so it's 450 XP. 450 XP for the Sea Hag. And the Water Elemental, that's a CR5. So I keep clicking the wrong buttons. The Water Elemental was a, let's see, CR, so it's 1800. So the Water Elemental is 1800 XP. And then let's find our mud mephits. Our beautiful, wonderful little mud mephits. I love mud mephits. Mephits are so much fun. It's very, very, very fun. Now I can't find them. They're hiding from me. All right, mud mephit. There we go. Whoppa! Whoppa! Now the mud mephits are like gonna be trivial, like not a problem at all for the level of adventures that we're talking about. But they're 50 experience points. I love how a lot of these mephits have these death bursts as well. They're really, really cool. Anyway, mud mephit is 50 XP. Where is my thing? There we go. 50 XP. Save that. Save that. Oh. I need to go over to Dungeon Fog and make sure I save this. I don't want to lose this. Bam! There we go. We're probably going to make a new map for our Hag Lair. And I don't know that I've ever made like a cave sort of map in Dungeon Fog before with like jagged walls and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Just technically speaking, I don't think I've done that before. So where am I going? Where am I going? I'm going over here, over to here. Let's start out designing this at level 5. And my, let me see, I had 50, 450, 1800. 50, 450, 1800. Now, a word of warning, I suppose I should say, on the standby. A word of warning on these calculators and stuff. I know we've been doing this a lot on here. These are, so far, we've only been doing these challenge rating calculations for like low levels, and now we're kind of doing it for levels 5 through 8. They're fairly reliable at those levels as far as like trying to get a hard or deadly encounter for your groups. However, once you get like around 12th level and beyond in D&D 5th edition, all of this like challenge rating math usually completely breaks down and is not very reliable at all. So just a word of warning, once you get your campaigns up to that level, this is less reliable by far than it is at the levels we're designing things at. So let's my cats are having fun with all the empty boxes in my house because I just moved in like a couple weeks ago. Anyway, let's design some of these bad boys. Calculate that, and I just calculated that. It's deadly. Whoa, it's way deadly. Look at this, you guys. So this is how this works. So for 4 level 5 characters, the deadly threshold is 4,400 XP. And this tells me that the adjusted difficulty rating is over 10,000 XP. So this encounter is like 2 times deadly. My cats are going nuts on the boxes over there. Here's the thing though. The way the math works, when you have a high number of monsters at low level, it starts adding like a multiplier to it, which can make this seem a lot more difficult than it actually is. So I'm going to zero them out and see what that does. No, I'm definitely still in the deadly category. They're having fun over there. I don't think it was those guys. I think the reason it's deadly is probably the elementals. It's probably because I have 2 elementals, and so I'm going to drop them down. That looks a lot better. Now at level 5, I mean, it's still deadly. So this is definitely the boss fight, right? If you're fighting a sea hag, this is presumably the boss fight. You probably fought some other things leading up to it. So I'm okay with having the boss fight be deadly. That makes sense to me. You would not want every single battle leading up to the boss fight to be deadly, because that's going to get old for your players. Every single fight is going to be a bog, where it takes forever to kill things because you made them so hard. So I would not recommend doing that. But for a boss fight, I think this works okay. So it's 6, 1, and 1. So I'm just going to punch some math here. It is deadly. We're going to have 6 mud mephits, 1 water elemental, and 1 sea hag. And I'm going to go through here and throw some more things in. Now at level 6, probably still deadly, so that can stay the same. At level 7, now it goes down to hard. So let me just copy paste this stuff from level 5 to level 6. And now it goes down to hard. I want to bump this up a little bit. Let's see if I can slip in my other elemental. That's okay. I mean, look at the deadly threshold. It's about 7,000, and my adjusted difficulty rating is a little over 10,000. So I could do this. I don't think. I mean, for my groups, for my players, I would not have a problem doing this. If you know for a fact that your players are not as beefy and powerful, then you might not want to attempt this. But I would feel comfortable designing an encounter like this for my groups. So we're going to go with that. It's still pretty deadly. The thing is that you can always... Whoops, that's the wrong one. You can always scale back on this. So for instance, if you're going through this encounter and your players are having a rough time at it, you can have your creatures using suboptimal tactics. You could have your sea hag, doing things, casting spells that aren't very effective or something. The sea hag, once it's down to like half of its hit points, instead of fighting to the death, it might run away. You could have the water elementals. Instead of having their hit point pool be at like 100, if the battle is going poorly for the players, you could have them die at like 60 or something. So there are different ways that mid-combat you can scale back on an encounter. Like right now, we are designing this encounter to be pretty deadly. I never design encounters to TPK a party. If I'm designing an encounter like this, I want it to be challenging, right? But there's got to be an opportunity for them to win. So if I totally go nuts and I over-design it, make it way too hard, and it's very apparent once they start fighting it that they're in trouble, then I'll roll that back a little bit. I'll scale that back, because as a dungeon master, my goal is not to kill my players, not to make them miserable. My goal is to cultivate the game experience. I want them to have fun. I want there to be a challenging encounter they have a possibility of beating. So if I see that they're getting their butts kicked, I might roll it back, right? So that they can actually have a chance of winning. So that's some DMs don't do that. Some of you might be thinking that I just spoke heresy, that is unthinkable, that I should always just play it by the numbers, and that's like cheating or something. I mean, you're welcome to think that, and everybody plays the game a little bit differently or whatever. But that's just kind of how I do it. There are very few times that I am okay with killing the PCs, and that's usually when they made a very bad decision and taken some bad moves and stuff along the way, that I just will just kill them if I need to. Not because I'm trying to kill them, but like I won't intervene in an encounter. If they somehow, for instance, wake up the entire dungeon and have everybody converging upon them through bad decisions on their part, and that's happened before, then I might not hold back. I might just have the bad guys go at them because they approached that dungeon poorly. So anyway, that's a tangent on things. It has nothing to do with this. All right, so I have some numbers punched out. I have to punch out the last numbers for level 8. So let's go over there. Let's see what this looks like. It's still deadly. It's still a deadly encounter, so I don't need to change anything. I could use these same numbers right here. All right, I have punched out a bunch of numbers, which has got us the numbers that we're going to use for the different monsters in the encounter, but that's all it's gotten us, and that's only one part of our equation. We still want to think about terrain, and we still want to think about a dramatic question. So let me get caught up on the chat here, and then we'll work on those things. Ooh, Tucker says, put a bowl of commanding water elementals in the room, which can be utilized by either the party or the enemy. Yeah, but it's the Sea Hag's bowl. So the Sea Hag is the one actually using it currently. I like that idea, though. And the players could maybe get it from the Sea Hag. Now, I'm pretty sure that bowl might need to be attuned to. So, but they might go in, steal the bowl, take off, attune to it, and come back later or something like that. But I like that idea. That's a cool idea, dude. Fierce says, I'm almost done here at work. I'm sure you want to go for another hour or so. Oh, absolutely, dude. Always go for another hour. Keep on going. Bounty Hunter says, I think a good trap would be if the room was slowly filling with water, so they would have to get out before the timer ran out. I agree. Good idea, dude. It would be the hag's last-ditch effort. So when she dies, she'll have the last laugh. All right, here we go. I like that idea. So let's do something about like encounter notes. There we go. We'll call it encounter notes. I'll go to my home row. Call that. Oh, add some bolding to that. Bulleted list. And then we'll make a note that says the room is slowly filling with water, and that works because mud mephits and water elementals and sea hags probably are unaffected by water filling the room. I know at least water elementals and sea hags can breathe underwater. Mud mephits, meh, but who cares? They're mud mephits. If they die and drown, nobody cares about them. All right, the room is slowly filling with water. And then we'll say after, yeah, this room is slowly filling with water. And then if the heroes are trapped in the water-filled room, they may drown. All right, there we go. I like that. That's a really good element for the encounter. The bowl of water. Oh, that's a good idea. I like that idea too. Whoops, undo that. The Sea Hag has a bowl. What is that called? A bowl of commanding water elementals that she's using to control the water elementals. I think that's how that works. I'd have to look it up to be sure, and I'm not going to spend the time to do that right now. So if I am misunderstanding how that works, do not freak out on me, please. Or just explain to me how it actually works. But I'm pretty sure that a bowl of commanding water elementals will allow you to control water elementals. That seems like a logical conclusion. So let's just roll with that. The room is slowly filling with water. Awesome. These are good. This is good stuff. What else did we have? Did we have anything else over here that I was looking at? Little CMB says, just remember the spell Conjure Minor Elemental, a 3rd level spell. I now have 8 Steam Mephistopheles, which can all cast Blur. Steam Mephits? Oh, okay, hold on. Let me look at Steam Mephits. Steam Mephits can cast Blur? Oh! It can. A Steam Mephit can innately cast Blur, requiring no material components. So, can our Sea Hag cast that? Is that what you're saying, man? The Sea Hag says, can it cast that spell? No. Oh, I bet that's part of the bowl. I bet the bowl can cast that spell. Well, see, now I gotta open up the DMG, because now this is actually becoming more important, because we're actually like maybe using this bowl to do things. Does the bowl do that, guys? Somebody help me out here. I'm pulling up the DMG. I'll see if I can find this bowl real quick. There's my DMG, and it's gonna be back a little bit. It's gonna be back in the B's, because it is a bowl. Come on, man. Take forever. Take forever. I could search for it, but it's going to find the wrong thing. We're getting close. There we go. Bag of holding. Bowl. Bowl, 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 bowl. That looks like a bowl. Where is this bad boy? Oh, yep. Here we go. Bowl of commanding water elementals. While this bowl is filled with water, you can use an action to speak the bowl's command word and summon a water elemental. There we go. As if you had cast the Conjure Elemental spell. The bowl can't be used this way again until the next dawn, blah, 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 blah. I like that. I don't mind that. What we could actually do, though, is we could give the Sea Hag the ability to cast that spell, okay? There is nothing saying that, despite it not being in the stat block, there's nothing saying that as the Dungeon Master, I can't do whatever I want with the monster. So we can give it the ability to cast that spell. So the Sea Hag has the innate ability to cast, what would it be? What is it called? Conjure Minor Elemental, which she uses to summon Steam Mephits. The Steam Mephits cast Blur on her and the water elementals. That's pretty nasty. And I would add a note. I'm not gonna write it here, but we've already designed an encounter that is deadly, and that does not take into account these Steam Mephits and what they might do to this encounter. Okay, so my only word of caution here is that when you're running this encounter with your group, that you don't use that option of the Steam Mephits if the group's already taking a big beating. However, if you see that the group is doing a pretty darn good job and handling things quite well, then you might pull this out of your back pocket. So use your DM discretion to make sure that you don't totally overwhelm your party. But that's a good idea. I like that. I like that idea. So let's see what other ideas we have going on here. By the way, we're slowly getting to the end of this encounter right here, and it's past 10 o'clock. And usually what I like to do on the end of my streams is do like a little bit of question and answer type thing that could have to do with anything. It doesn't have to do with encounter building. It can be questions and answers about anything about your games, dungeon mastering, stuff like that. So if you have questions, then start thinking about them, because we're about to transition, I think, into the Q&A. And then we're going to call it a night at 11, I think. So there we go. So that's that. And then we'll finish this bad boy out here. But let me see what else we got going on in the chat. Autocorrect methods. Also, will the methods be able to summon? Matthew Perkins says, I like the bowl idea. Charisma contest to control via the bowl. Oh, that's interesting. You could do that. Yeah, they could have some sort of like, you could put some mechanic in where your players would be able to take over using the bowl if you wanted to. Does it require attunement? It does not require attunement. Holy crap. All right. I think they just have to, yeah, you could build some mechanic into your game to make that work. Yeah, I think that would work. That sounds cool. That's a good idea, dude. Tucker says, a local wizard hired the party to go deal with a local sea hag in a sunken temple. The party may find the command word to the bowl of water or control within the temple prior to the... Yeah, I like that idea. I'm going to... You know what, dude? Tucker, I am copy-pasting exactly what you said and putting it into the adventure. There we go. Almost there we go. And there we go. I like it. There we go. That's an encounter note. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. I like it. Bounty Hunter can't wait for his next D&D session tomorrow. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Are you the dungeon master? Are you a player? What you got going on there? Replace the Mud Boys with Steam Boys. All right, dude. So we'll call them Steam Methods. All right, so the Mud Boys have become the Steam Boys, and they can cast Blur. Oh, I think we just killed our Sea Hag. The Sea Hag no longer needs the innate ability to conjure minor elementals because we just changed our Mud Boys into Steam Boys. So there we go. Now we don't have to worry about that because I was concerned that was going to make it more difficult anyway. So there we go. Alan, dude, I'm glad that you're finding this useful, man. That is my goal, is to help folks out. So if you're learning a lot, then I'm doing something good. I think that so I didn't draw out a map for this. Now I could come over here and we could draw out a big map and stuff like that. But actually drawing it out is going to take us time, and I don't want to spend the time needed to draw out a map. So let's just kind of talk through what kind of elements we might have for this encounter right here. So there we go. Let's make my face a little bit bigger. So for this encounter, I mean, I'm imagining, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm imagining with a Sea Hag Lair, we have some sort of underground or at least near like the coast, and maybe we have like some cave, like a cave system or something, maybe like some sort of sunken temple. Maybe this is in a shipwreck somewhere, like on the coast or something. So some sort of like terrain element like that. And I think we actually, you know what, we already talked about having the this lair being in a room that had like a dirt floor, because the water elementals were turning the terrain, the muddy floor. So let's write that down. So terrain, that's a good point. I'll write that down. We're not gonna draw the map out, but I'll make a note about that. The water elementals have turned the dirt floor into a muddy mess. It's difficult terrain to move about the room. There we go. And let me see. The water elementals and the Sea Hag. Let's say that the enemies, however, are immune to this condition. That just makes it a little bit easier. The enemies have pretty good movement about the room, but the heroes will be impeded as they try to go places. And so that will make things more interesting. Anything else about the terrain that we should know? So maybe a couple different terrain elements to make things more interesting here. Bounty Hunter says, I'm one of the players. I'm still in my first campaign. We're playing the Curse of Strahd. I'm a green dragonborn wizard of the necromancy school. Awesome, dude. I'm about to run Curse of Strahd for one of my groups, the Sword Coast Guard group. It's going to be a while before we get to Curse of Strahd. I want to say we're probably not going to get to Curse of Strahd until maybe the summer or so. Right now we're just finishing up kind of like a homebrew thing I got going on, but planning on doing Curse of Strahd because it looks really, really sweet. All right, so I mean, we should put things in this layer. You know, like there should be like some sort of like table or something where like the bowl of water elemental commanding is on there, and you might have some like different elevations. I mean, you got a sea cave. There might be an area that's just completely water where there is no ground for them to step on. You could have some like stalactites and stalagmites in this sea cave. I would definitely put some things around there in the environment. You wouldn't want this to just be kind of, again, you would not want to just have an empty room. Empty rooms in encounters are generally pretty boring, so I wouldn't want to do that. Tucker says maybe this temple used to be on land, but the influence of the hag has caused the area to become muddy, swampy, like dangerous tidal pools. I like it. I'm going to copy paste that stuff, and let's say that this encounter takes place in a sunken temple. And we'll say this temple used to be on land, but the influence of the hag has caused the area to become muddy and swampy with dangerous tidal pools. Awesome. In a partially sunken temple. There we go. That's a cool idea. So I mean that right there is not just an encounter, that is like the beginning of an entire adventure, because based upon that right there, we would then start designing out this sunken temple with all of the rooms and things like that. So that's really cool. We could definitely do that. I like that idea. Bam. Anything else? Oh, dramatic question. Dramatic question. I mean, I have an idea for a dramatic question that just came to my mind that I like. I don't know if anybody else has a thought about the dramatic question. Give me some ideas of what you guys think the dramatic question could be. I'm going to write down what I just thought of. But if you guys have a better idea for a dramatic question, then I'm all ears, and I'll replace my idea here. So, will the heroes convince the sea hag to give up the bowl of commanding water elementals and leave and return to the sea from whence she came? I don't know. That's a basic thing. So if we have the idea of the adventure is that the sea hag is causing the area to become like sunken, muddy, and swampy, which could have some negative impacts on, say, a local village, then maybe the player's job is to stop that problem. And so basically they need to get the bowl back and get the sea hag out of there. And if they can somehow convince her or something to leave, then she might leave. Pay her, I don't know. The chances of that happening are probably not very great. I definitely feel like this is going to be a combat. But at least you have something there the players might do instead of just totally just killing her. But I mean, if I were in this situation as a player, I'd just kill her. She's a sea hag. Who cares about a sea hag? Kobolds are different. Kobolds are cute and cuddly. So I wouldn't necessarily want to kill a kobold if I could avoid it. But sea hags, they just need to be slaughtered. So there we go. Bounty Hunter says, you could make the players have to switch the bowl out with something of equal weight because there is a pressure plate under it. Yeah, you can do that. That's a good idea. I have another. Based on that idea, though, you could say that maybe all the players have to do to defeat the sea hag is get the bowl of water, commanding water elementals. If we imagine that the sea hag is using that magical item to cause everything to sink and get muddy, then just stealing that bowl and getting that bowl could cause her powers to like erode away, and she would no longer be able to do all those horrible things. And so that could be our dramatic question as well. So we can say, can the heroes retrieve the... I like that better. Retrieve the bowl of water, commanding water elementals, and thus neutralize the sea hag's powers to do harm to the region. There we go. So again, they're trying to get the bowl from her. Now they might sneak into the room and steal the bowl somehow. They might turn invisible, fly in and grab it, and then like speed out. And as they're running away with it, the sea hag and her cronies are chasing after them or something. But you see, that introduces lots of more options than just simply killing the sea hag. It might come down to that, but this at least gives us some more options. So I like that idea. Bounty Hunter says maybe the sea hag has a hostage So they might try to get the hostage through some method like bartering her for something of acceptance. Absolutely, you could do that. That could be one of the things. You could introduce a hostage into here as well. The players could come in here under the understanding that all they have to do is, I never switched back to my other screen here. I don't know that it matters, but whatever. I've been typing stuff. Not super interesting. But you could definitely say, and now I'm going to switch back because I stopped typing stuff. You could say that the players are coming in here with the goal of getting the water elemental bowl back. But when they go in there, they find out that there is a hostage. And then they need to also figure out what they're doing with the hostage. So there we go. Encounter notes. There is also let's say, she stole a bunch of kids. There are also, I should switch back to so you can see me type. I know watching me type is so interesting. There are also several small children in cages in the room. Small children in cages in the room. The sea hag stole them from the local village. All right. So then our dramatic question becomes even different. Can the heroes retrieve the bowl, blah, blah, and thus neutralize? And then so we have two dramatic questions. Will the heroes also rescue the children? Or leave them to their fate? Can you imagine the heartless players that you would have if they go in there and they're like, no, screw the kids. Who cares about them? Get the bowl. Let's get out of here. Leave the kids to the sea hag. We don't really care what she does with them. So that'd be nuts. I don't think any of my players would do that. I think my players would be like, nope, we're killing the sea hag. She's monstrous. If we don't kill her, then she's just going to steal more kids. So I think in that situation, the sea hag would die no matter what, just because she deserves it. So there you go. Matthew Perkins, bunch is the official collective noun for kids. A bunch of kids. Yeah, bunch of kids. We just call them bunch. Michael says, gonna need some sort of foreshadowing to know that just taking the bull will defeat. I agree. You definitely would. So up here we said, a local wizard hired the party to go deal with a local sea hag in a sunken temple. And then what we can say is, we can say that the wizard has told the heroes that getting that's taking the bowl away from the hag will neutralize her powers. There we go. So our quest giver could tell the heroes that. I mean, that's one solution. The wizard could just tell them that. You might do something more inventive and creative, like they find things in the temple itself that give them clues as to that. There are lots of different ways of going about it that I think that would be successful. That could work, right? I picked the most obvious way, have somebody tell them. But there you go. But I agree, you definitely need some foreshadowing. All right, there we go. We have created, how many encounters have we created? We actually ended up creating like 3 or 4 encounters, depending upon how you count. But we came up with lots of really good ideas and lots of variants as well for all of these things. So I like that. That's really cool. I think we did a lot of good brainstorming and ideation as well. So what I want to do now, folks, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm gonna take a intermission break again, and when I come back, what I want to do is let's just do some question and answers, things about your games, things about dungeon mastering, questions you might have. Nothing's off limits. Probably about a half hour of questions and answers, and then we will run, and then we'll end the stream basically. So look at that, boom. That's what I put up there. So while I'm on my intermission, think about questions. If you have a question, give me a hashtag question down in the chat plus your question, and we'll do some question answering when I come back.
All right. Okay, we're back. We are back. All right, guys. I want to do question and answer. So I don't see any questions down in the chat. So I'll answer some other questions if I need to. I have like a backlog. Actually, you know what? I do actually have some questions that some people had sent me from like something else. I think, where did I put those? I have to find them. Some people had sent me some questions and I wasn't able to answer them right away. So, let me see. You know, where were those things? Screenshots of questions for live streams. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find them. I don't know where they are. That's crazy. So, one thing that I've always wanted to do, and I haven't done it yet, is pull up things from Facebook. So, what's the most OP class? Oh, there's a question for you. The most overpowered class, in my opinion, is Paladin, by far. Paladin is nuts. Now I'm just going crazy. Now I'm just clicking everything. At low levels, a Paladin is pretty good with his Divine Smite. Really, really good. Can do lots of damage, lots of spike damage. But when a Paladin really begins to shine is in the later levels. Once your Paladins, especially if your player builds your Paladin with a high charisma, which makes sense to do if you're playing the Paladin class in 5th edition, then he's going to start giving a +4, +5 to saving throws to everybody within 10 feet or 30 feet, depending on what level he is. And he's also, at higher levels, he's going to give resistance to spell damage to the party. Lots of crazy benefits. A Paladin can do, he has some spells that do pretty decent damage as well. Like, what's the one? There's one that's like a big, it's like, it does 20d6 damage in like a radius around him. I forget the name of it. Somebody probably knows the name of it. It's a really good spell, and when bards get it at lower levels, it's really, really good. But the Paladin, what he really does is, it's not so much that he in and of himself is super powerful. It's all of the benefits that he confers on all of his party members really make his party like +5 to your saves, resistance to all spell damage. You know, some of these things, immunity to charm, immunity to fear, just lots of crazy stuff that your Paladin is able to do to all of his allies around him. When I have Paladins in my games, like especially at the higher levels, if I know I have a Paladin in my games, I have to design my adventures differently to account for the Paladin. It is a night and day difference. When same adventures, same encounters, if there's no Paladin in the group, let's say he's gone for that night, he couldn't make the game session, the whole group could struggle against an encounter. When the Paladin shows up and is present, then everything is just easy peasy. So it makes a really big difference having a Paladin there. So in my opinion, the Paladin is the most powerful class in the game. So I don't like outlaw them, or I don't nerf them or anything. I just deal with it. You just have to design at the higher levels. You have to design your adventures differently to account for Paladins. If you don't, then the players will steamroll everything. And sometimes steamrolling something is fun. I'll give that to the players, but not every single encounter, because that gets boring after a while. They want to be challenged. All right. Little CMB says, how talkative should a cult assassin be? You mean like if they like grab him and interrogate him? Like, so they've captured him, tied him up, and now they're going to interrogate him and try to get information out of him? If I'm thinking of a cult, like somebody who's been like really indoctrinated, brainwashed, really dedicated to a cult, possibly to some deity or something like that, like really a fanatic, I think he would probably not give information out very much. I think that even if you're torturing him, he might just be like, no, screw you. My loyalties are to my ex-deity, and if you kill me and torture me and I don't say anything, then I'm going to receive some reward from that deity. So I almost think that
he probably would not be very talkative. I think the players would have to do some real hard convincing, possibly even using magic to get him to talk. But that's just off the top of my head, thinking about how that might play out. So Alan says, what do you think about combining 4th and 5th edition in D&D? So I've never played 4th edition. I was not because I don't necessarily like it. I don't know enough about it to decide whether I like it or not, because I know a lot of people in the D&D circles are like, 4th edition sucks, nah. You know, I don't really have a well-formed opinion about it. I haven't encountered it enough. I do know that there are lots of people that love it. So as far as combining them, I do think that there are some... I do know a little bit about 4th edition. I know their whole minion system, where a minion has 1 hit point. It otherwise functions as normal, but it has 1 hit point. So you could take a water elemental and call it a minion for, like, let's say you're going against a... what kind of dragon lives in the water? I don't know. Just pick a dragon. But let's say the dragon has water elementals. Well, it's called fire elemental. So you're going against a red dragon. And in the red dragon's lair, there are fire elementals. And those fire elementals are minions. So they have 1 hit point. The other ways do all the normal damage that a fire elemental would do, but there's 1 hit point. I think that's a great thing to steal. I've used that before. Exactly. Not again, it's a fire dragon, but like I've used that exact same thing before. I take them, give them 1 hit point, call them a minion, and there you go, roll with it. So I think there are lots of cool things. I have heard some of the monsters in 4th edition, like dragons, are like beefier and cooler in 4th edition. Like they radiate damage in a certain radius around them, and if you're close enough to them, you just take damage. Period. End of story. I believe that's how that works. Don't quote me on that. So I think stealing from other editions, stealing things that are cool and that enhance whatever game you're playing, if it's 5th edition, right? I totally think that's cool, right? You need to be smart about it. You need to be aware of what you're doing, how it will affect your game, right? And then like adequately, think that through and be ready to improvise on the fly if needed, if you start breaking things. But I think it's a good idea. I wouldn't go too nuts. I would pick out the things that are like, ooh, that's cool. That will make the game better, right? I wouldn't just combine to combine for the sake of it. Pick out the things that you think are cool. Bounty Hunter says the OP class is either the rogue or the druid. Now, the druid at like super high levels, when they have unlimited shape changes, yeah, that's powerful. Oh, my camera just got blurred. There we go. That's better. That's really powerful. Absolutely. A low level druid. So if you're just playing low levels, like levels 1 through 4 or 5, yeah, druids are powerful because then they're like a big bag of hit points, and they're an awesome tank. They're the perfect tank, right? So yeah, they're really powerful at low levels. That starts to die off a little bit once you get a little bit higher levels. Their ability to shape change. Then when they're limited to like animals, beasts basically, and the beasts don't have like super high hit points and stuff, that really begins to limit their ability to function that same role as a tank. Rogues. So when I first started playing 5th edition, I thought rogues were really powerful too. Because rogues with their sneak attack do crap loads of damage sometimes, especially if they get a critical hit, because then all of their sneak attack dice are doubled. You roll them a second time. And so when I first started playing 5th edition, I was like, rogues, holy crap, that's insane. But then one of the guys in my group who knew a lot more about the math and how all the things kind of interact was explaining to me that, a rogue gets like basically 1 chance to do an attack, to do sneak attack damage. And if he misses you, he does no damage. If he hits you, yeah, he does a decent amount of damage. However, consider a fighter. A fighter might get 2 attacks, and they each do a decent amount of damage each, but not like a whole bunch. If both of them hit, he comes somewhere near doing the same amount of damage as a rogue. And what I've basically, I've been playing 5th edition for 3 or 4 years at this point. Maybe about 4 years or something like that. But what I've basically begun to notice is that rogues are pretty on par. As far as damage output, they're pretty on par, I've found, with like fighters and paladins and things like that. So they don't concern me as much anymore. Not as much as they used to. But obviously the damage output in a combat is not the only metric by which you're going to gauge the effectiveness of a class. Rogues are like amazing little skill monkeys. They can disarm traps, they can sneak, they can deceive people. So if you take into account all of those types of advantages and things that rogues are capable of, then absolutely, rogues are pretty cool. In fact, I want to say rogues are one of my very favorite classes to play because of their versatility. A rogue is like useful in like so many different situations in the game. Role playing and sneaking and stealing and picking locks and disarming traps, looting, scouting, and also very effective in combat. And so I really like playing rogues because of that. And so yeah, I think I don't know that I would call them OP technically. I think they're just really useful and really cool. Anyway, my opinion. And I don't think there's any right answer on these things. This is all just opinion, guys, right? So, how would you deal with the wish spell? I'll tell you how I deal with the wish spell. I run it exactly as it says in the book, because I think they fixed it in 5th edition. They completely fixed it in 5th edition. Previous editions, I think the wish spell could just destroy things. Game breaking, blah, 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 whatever. 5th edition seems to have really gotten a good handle on it, in my opinion. And one of my groups, by the way, is at level 20. They have access to the wish spell, and they've been using the wish spell. They've actually found that it is not as useful to them as other spells at that level. And so they've only used it a few times. Let's go ahead and pull up the wish spell real quick. Let me get you guys to the desktop so we can actually look at things. And then I'm going to I will find the player handbook, and we will open up I'm not at all concerned about the wish spell in 5th edition. I don't think it's a problem. Not in 5th edition, not if you run it as it's written in the book. If you don't run it as it's written in the book, then yeah, you could probably let your players could be getting away with bloody murder. It's probably going to be toward the end because it starts with a W. Where is this bad boy? Where? Oh, where? I went too far. Man. We're all the way into the Pantheon. Into the Pantheon. When I start singing, you guys are all in trouble. You will know. I should search for it. Why don't I do a search? I'm like a moron. I'm sitting here with a PDF that has a search function, and I'm scrolling through it instead of searching. I blame it on the alcohol. I haven't had any alcohol today, so I guess I can't. I can't blame it on the alcohol. I blame it on being tired. It's late. All right. So the wish spell. I'm gonna zoom in. I want to make sure you guys can see this. I don't think I'm gonna read the whole thing, but they have done some really good stuff to limit its usefulness. The first thing is there are two alternatives of the wish spell. There are two ways you can use it. The first way is that you can use the spell to duplicate any other spell of 8th level and lower. Now, that is the most common usage of it because it says here you can, alternatively, you can create one of the effects of your choice. So you can do some other things here. Okay, it gives you very specific bulleted list here of different things you can do. Okay. Now it also says you might be able to achieve them. Blah 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 blah. All right, now but check this out. Check this out. If you're either going to use it to duplicate an 8th level spell or lower, or you're going to use it to do something else. Now it says right here, the stress of casting this spell to produce any effect other than duplicating another spell, this would be an 8th level or lower spell, weakens you. After enduring that stress, each time you cast a spell until you finish a long rest, you take 1d10 necrotic damage per level of that spell. All right? Blah, 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 blah. Your strength drops to a 3. Okay. And then it says, blah, 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 blah. Here's the part. Here's the big part. Here is the part that prevents most of my players from casting Wish if it's not duplicating an 8th level spell or lower. Finally, there is a 33% chance that you are unable to cast Wish ever again if you suffer this stress. So, if you use Wish to cast an 8th level spell or lower, you're perfectly fine. And it's very useful because you don't need to use any of the components. You just cast Wish, and then everything just happens. However, if you use Wish for anything besides casting an 8th level spell or lower, there is a 33% chance that you will never be able to cast Wish again. And one of my players cast Wish, rolled poorly, and now he can never cast Wish ever again. And so that right there is what keeps my players from using Wish solely to duplicate 8th level spells or lower. And if you want to take a chance of never being able to cast Wish again, you can do really cool stuff. Okay? And that's when things get a little noodly, and it's up to the DM's discretion, and things could get broken. But I'm okay with that. You're running a big risk, and your strength becomes 3. You could do something really cool, but your strength drops to 3. You're worthless. You can't even crawl across the floor almost. Especially if you're a wizard, and you cast Wish, strength of 3 is not too horrible, except that you can't carry your equipment at that point, more than likely, because your carrying capacity is probably like 20, and your robe's way more than that. So anyway, that's what I think about Wish. 5th edition, don't have a problem with it. Have not had a problem with it so far, so I'm cool with it. I'm good to go. Bam. All right. What else we got going on here? Bounty Hunter says, how many undead from Finger of Death is too many? I don't know. Let's look for Finger of Death. All right, I'm going to pop back over to... And this will be an intellectual exercise, I think. Just supposing what I think off the top of my head. Finger of Death. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, well, that's one. Let's find the next. Find the next instance. Find the next instance. Here we go. See, here's what I'm talking about. It's finished searching the whole document. No more matches were found. What a piece of crap. All right, here we go. Finger of Death, Finger of Death, Finger of Death, Finger of Death, Finger of Death. Where is A, B, C, D? Oh, I'm in the Fs. F-I? What the heck? Oh, here we go. It's got to be up here. I'm probably going to, scroll right by it. Finger of Death. Here we go. So, first of all, Finger of Death is a 7th level necromancy spell, so that's really powerful. All right, so let's get that going. It does a lot of damage. 78 plus 3 necrotic damage, and it says a humanoid killed by this spell rises at the start of your next turn as a zombie that is permanently under your command, following your verbal orders to the best of its ability. So, technically speaking, if you are a wizard, you can probably cast a 7th level spell. It's either twice a day or once a day. I forget which one. It depends on what level you are, too, obviously. According to this, you could have as many zombies as you want under your control. I could easily imagine, players saying, okay, guys, I'm going to take, 6 months off, and I'm just going to go around, creating zombies with Finger of Death, and then I'm going to have an army at my disposal. So the question here is, how as a dungeon master would you deal with that? I have a pretty simple solution. I just tell my player, because here's what happens. If you have a necromancer with 20 or 30 undead under his control, what happens at your game table is that the entire game breaks down into the logistics of running 30 undead under the control of your necromancer. And I'll tell you exactly how that works out. There's one person having fun at that table. The necromancer controlling 30 undead. The dungeon master has a crazy headache from trying to figure out how to possibly create adventures and stuff that can challenge, all those undead. Has a headache from trying to, be part of running all of those undead at the table. And then all the other players, guess what they're doing? They're on their phones. They're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, because every single turn in combat takes an hour just for the necromancer player to do all of his undead. Right? And all the other players are sitting there bored out of their minds while the necromancer is running all of his undead. And so I mean, that's probably the logical conclusion of how that would turn out. Now, I could be wrong, but my brain tells me that that's probably what would happen. One person's having fun, one person is stressed, and all the other players are bored out of their minds. So, to head all of that off, whenever I've had players who wanted to be druids doing summonings, or they want to be necromancers and having summons, I basically tell them, look, there are two things. One, there is a cap to how many undead you can control. Usually I make it something like 2 or 3. That's it. You can control 2 or 3 undead at a time. And I explain to them the reason is that gameplay suffers for everybody else at the table when you take too long to take a turn. And so, I get that this feels like a nerf possibly, but I'm very clear about why I do it that way. It's because I want everybody at the table to have fun, not just the dude who has a freaking army of undead. So that's my thing. You might not like that. You might think that's wrong. That's fine. You don't do it that way. You do it your way. That's cool. But at my table, I limit it. I make there a limit. And the other thing I do is I tell the player, look if you're going to be running 3 undead at the same time as you're running your normal character, then you need to be Johnny on the spot with making decisions for those undead. We cannot sit here for 5 minutes while you decide what each of your undead is going to do. Because you have all, I'm sure, been at games before where there's those 1 or 2 players who can't make up their minds. And if the Dungeon Master allows them to, they will take 20 minutes to figure out what they're going to do on their turn. So, especially in this, that needs to be, dealt with, obviously, I think. But especially in the case where you have somebody controlling more than one character, he's controlling undead as well, that player needs to know that he needs to be fast about making decisions for what they do in combat. And then enforce it. And if he can't make up his mind, then the undead just stands there not knowing what to do or something. I don't know. There are different ways you can handle it. But those are my basic thoughts on how many I would allow. And it's mostly just to make sure that we keep the game interesting and fun for everybody at the table, not just for the necromancer who has an army of undead. So that's my thoughts on that. That may or may not, that might be an unpopular position to have. I can see people getting upset and saying that, oh, you're just being a jerk to people who want to run necromancers or people that want to do summons and stuff like that. Well, I think that when you've played games like that with that many summons or undead, there's not a whole lot of people having fun at that table because it's just everything bogs down into logistics. So there you go. That's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts, and that's why. Alan says that's what I do with my group. I'm not sure. Okay. Are changelings broken? I don't know. What's a changeling? Is that a monster? Bromos. Is that a monster? Are changelings a monster? I don't know if that's a monster. What are changelings? Let's go to Google. Let's Google changelings. 5e changeling. A changeling race? What splat book is that from, Bromos? What is the changeling race from? It's gotta be from, it's not telling me. I'm on D&D Beyond, but it's not telling me. Oh, Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron? That's not from 5th edition, is it? Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron? Huh. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the changeling. What part about the changeling do you think might be broken, Bromos? I don't want to read the whole thing here. I don't think I have time to read the whole thing and understand it because I'm not familiar with them. But what is the thing that makes you think they might be broken, that you have a specific question about, and then I can address that. CMB says, can't wait for you to get to the singing portion in Dungeon of the Mad Mage. The singing portion? What's the singing portion, dude? I'm not familiar with that. I've read portions of that book, but I'll be honest with you, that book is, I have it right here. That book is a big book. It's like 300 pages, so I haven't read the whole thing yet. I'm working on it. But is there a part, one of the levels, that has a lot of singing in it? Is that what's going on there? Little CMB also says, for large numbers, use horde rules. It is how many creatures you need to hit something when you read that number the horde hits once. Yeah, agreed. You could do something like that. Yes, you're right. There are ways to simplify that. If you want to deal with large numbers of undead, you could come up with a set of rules. Horde rule. You're referencing horde rules. I'm not familiar offhand if that's like in the core books, like the DMG or something like that. It might be. I'm just not familiar with it. But you're right. You could come up with an alternate rule system to accommodate that. If you want to do that, you could absolutely do that. And then you would be using different rules for the horde of undead as opposed to the players. The goal being obviously to streamline how that is run. And if you can do that and streamline it so that people aren't bored, then you got something going on. The other question would be if you have a big horde of zombies. I run everything like grid and minis, and so I'd be putting a horde of zombies on a grid, right? And figuring that out. So there's still a logistical thing there. And what was the other thought I had? The Dungeon Master still has to. You would have to adjust your encounters to accommodate a bunch of undead. You'd have to. If you didn't, then things would be uninteresting and challenging for your players. So there are still some things to be dealt with. I'm not saying it can't be done, and if you want to deal with it, that's cool. Definitely, there are definitely ways you could deal with that if you wanted to. So my viewpoint, in my opinion, is not the only one, and it's not necessarily the right one either. I could be wrong. It could be really fun to do that. All right, let's see what he got here. Michael says Wayfinder's Guide is 5e. It's considered playtest content like UA. Oh, okay, I gotcha. I haven't looked at it yet. Alan says I was referring to using the best parts of 4th edition. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Combine them. If your players like them or having fun, absolutely combine them. Bromo says Changeling can change into so many different creatures. How can a DM keep up with that? I don't know. I have no idea. So a lot of these things, I'll read it and I'll try to think through things to see like what potential problems there might be. But sometimes you just, if your player wants to do it, you allow it and see what happens. You might preface the whole thing with like, listen, player, I have concerns. I'm not sure this will work. I'm going to allow you to do it, but please be forewarned that I might limit things. If the concern here is that the changeling can turn into too many different types of things, you might put a limit on it, say once per day or 3 times per day or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. I usually don't like nerfing things right out of the box unless I definitely see a problem. I would much rather allow my player to do it with the caveat that I might change things. And then if a problem actually does arise from it, then we change things to bring it back in line with other stuff. I can tell you that splat books have a propensity for putting out more powerful things that unbalance the game. That's just the way splat books work. I don't know if that's by design. Part of me thinks it's by design because, and here's why. This might be a conspiracy theory, but if I'm trying to sell a splat book, then if there are races and classes in there that are a little bit more powerful than the ones in the player handbook, I am incentivizing players to buy those books because then they can use the official splat book to make classes, players, PCs that are more powerful. So I don't know if that's actually intentional or if they just do really crappy playtesting. But that is a thought. So yeah, I allow it usually and then make changes if needed, unless I see very big problems with it. I think that's probably what I would do with the changeling. Off the top of my head, without reading it, without really thinking about it a whole lot. That's off the top of my head. Bounty Hunter says, how hard is it to be the GM? I want to try to being one occasionally. I think Bounty, I think that's a really personal question. Not like personally, you're asking a personal question of me, but I think that the answer to that depends upon like each individual. I think some people are going to find being the dungeon master easy. Other people are going to find it to be the most challenging, stressful, crazy thing of their lives, and they hate doing it. I don't know. For me, it's not hard. I find it to be much more interesting and fun than being a player. I get bored as a player very easily. A dungeon master, my mind is always thinking. It never stops thinking during the entire game session. I can tell you that it's a lot of work. I can definitely... Now, is it hard work or is it just work? It just takes time. If you're preparing your own adventures, then you got to create them, which means that you have to have some bit of creativity to come up with ideas for your adventures, right? And then you got to know how, like what we did tonight, we were planning out encounters, we were building encounters together, so you have to have an idea of how those things are done, right? Or just wing it and hope for the best. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you're gonna learn a lot by failing. As long as you fail and then figure out what you did wrong and get better, you're gonna come out on the other end of that being much more capable dungeon master, right? You don't want to just fail and then not learn anything from it, because then that's idiocy, right? So there's some work, there's some prep involved in being a dungeon master. I would say that it is, if you've never been a dungeon master before, the first time you do it, it's going to seem hard. It's just like anything else. The first time you've ever done anything that is as challenging, we'll say, or as complex as being a dungeon master, it's going to be hard for you. The first time, like, I don't know, let's pick a dumb example, like riding my bike. The first time I tried to ride a bike, I couldn't steer, I didn't know how to brake, nothing. And so I rode my bike right into a hill, fell off, and was like crying. I don't know how old I was. I was young, 5, 6, I don't know, right? That was hard, right? The first time I did, like, I don't know, trigonometry or something, who knows? You know, actually, trigonometry was not hard. That's never been hard. That's a bad example. Not for me, at least. But I think the first time you're going to do it, it's going to be hard. You're probably going to find it to be very challenging. There are probably going to be lots of things you don't understand, maybe, that are confusing or whatever. So, but I think with experience and practice, it gets a lot easier. You get a better understanding for it. You know, the way I like to think about things in life is, if somebody else can do it, especially if somebody else in my similar circumstances can do it, then I can probably do it too. So lots of other people are dungeon masters. And here's the other thing too. I wouldn't worry too much about being a good dungeon master at the beginning either. I think your players are probably going to be more forgiving than we sometimes, expect them to be. I think sometimes we have this conception that as a dungeon master, the players are expecting perfection out of you. Like, he's got to be the best DM ever, or I'm leaving this group. I don't think that's true. I think that a lot of players just want to get together with friends, hang out, they want to kill monsters, take their stuff, and level up. And as a dungeon master, if you can provide the basic structure for that to happen, even if you're still learning, then your players would still have fun, and they're still going to be like, yeah, cool, thanks, that was an awesome game, let's run another game next time. So I think that sometimes we set expectations of ourselves that are too high, and our players' expectations are more down here. And so we shouldn't sweat it quite as much. I think we should just give it a go, give it a try, and just have fun and relax, and we'll get better as we go. So there you go. Those are my thoughts, my scattered thoughts on being a dungeon master. So CMB says page, where is that? Where'd the book go? Where'd my book go? Page 246 for singing. Well, that's why I didn't get to it. It's like toward the end of the book, dude. Do you actually... Oh, there's a song. There's actually a song here. So who sings this song? There's like a song. It's called Icthagulg's Song. Welcome to my grotto. Call me Cling of the Cray. Igalug's my name. I'm the catch of the day. I'm a horrible singer. I shouldn't be singing this. But yeah, there's a song there. And 249. Oh, Druk's song. Oh man, I'm gonna sing these songs. Not right now for you guys. I'll try to sing them for my players. It'll be funny. All right, let's keep reading. We're about to stop, guys. It's 11 o'clock. We're about done here. Let me see what you guys got to say though. Michael Grimes says changelings may be able to change their appearance to look like another creature, but the changelings' game stats don't change like druids or polymorph. Now that's important. If the changeling were able to like get new hit points and stuff every time, that would way overpowered. Unless there was a limit per day, but even then, that's all for a race. That's a lot. I don't know. Anyway, you also can't appear as a creature of a different size than you, and your basic shape stays the same. If you're bipedal, you can't use this trait to become quadrupedal. For instance, quadrupedal. That's how you say that. Welcome to the Trig Channel. Today we're talking about the law of cosines. You want to know what the law of cosines? All right, so cosines. So SOHCAHTOA is the way I always remember that, right? So the law of cosines. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that stuff off the top of my head. I was just bullcrapping you. All right, guys. I think we're done. It's 11 o'clock. I want to go to bed. You guys all want to go to bed, I'm sure. So we had a cool stream tonight. That was some funness. So I just want to give a last little reminder for you guys all that tonight we were using Dungeon Fog for some of our map building. Over that way, there's a little code there that you guys can get 10% off of that thing. Also, oh, by the way, you don't even have to buy it. There's a free, you can get it for free, and you can try it out for free as well to see if you even like it and stuff like that. But I thought it was pretty cool, which is why I am kind of friends with the dude now and stuff like that, and why I'm hooking you guys all up with 10% off and crap like that. So anyway, check that out if you're so inclined, and all that kind of good stuff. We will do another live stream in like 2 weeks from now. I think what we are going to do in our next live stream is we're going to do some adventure creation. And there is this dude, I wonder if I can find him. I might have a hard time finding him. I'm gonna pull him up. I'm gonna give you a preview of what we're gonna do next time, guys. Stand by. His name is Justin David Russell. I'm gonna go to his Patreon. What this guy does is, there we go. This guy creates maps. He creates D&D maps, and I'm just gonna pull up here. Let me pull up. I'm gonna pull up one of his maps right here. This is a good example. So, what we're gonna do is we're going to be using one of his maps that he created, and we're going to create an adventure around one of his maps. So it might not be this map, it might be a different map or something like that, but I'm going to pull, there's like, oh, look at that, my logo. We're going to pull one of his maps. Here's a nice map right there. Anyway, point is, guys, is in the next live stream, we're going to be taking a pre-made map, and we're going to create an adventure around that map. And so that's going to be 2 weeks from now, and it's going to be fun, I think. And we're going to have an adventure from the back end of that. So, oh no, we have a last minute question. Michael says, how would you use the death burst ability of Mephits? How would you time it when they hit 0 hit points or after 3 failed death saves? I don't have enemies do death saves. So in my games, I only have the PCs do death saves. Monsters don't do death saves. Once a monster hits 0 hit points, it's done. It blows up. It's dead. Okay? So I consider that to be something that only heroes get their death saves. I might have a villain do death saves, but even then, I don't usually do that. For me, 0 hit points is done, unless you're a player, unless you're a PC. So answer your question directly. The death ability, the death burst of a Mephit would happen when it hits 0 hit points, and then boom, it blows up. So there you go. Otherwise, what you're going to be happening is the players are going to drop it to 0. As soon as it goes down, they're going to like move out of the way so that like a couple rounds later or whatever, when it blows up, like they're not near it, right? It loses its effectiveness. Besides which, the ability specifically says that when it reaches 0 hit points, it blows up. So you are at 0 hit points when you begin making death saves, and so I think that resolves itself anyway. So, Cameron, hey Cameron, what's going on, dude? He missed most of this. You did. Cameron, you know what? You showed up just in time. I'm about to say goodbye to you all, and we're about to sign off, and I'll see you next week. But I'll tell you what, Cameron, next week we're going to be designing an adventure together with a pre-made map. So show up next week, and you can hang out with us, and we'll have fun. So there we go. All right, guys, this has been awesome. I've had a lot of fun tonight. I hope you guys found this useful. The most important thing here is that we learn stuff and maybe we're inspired and crap like that for our own games and whatnot. So I will see you guys next time. So I think that's all I got to say. So we'll do my whole thing where I'm like, until next time, let's play D&D. All right, guys, see y'all later. It was fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I got to figure out. I always have a trouble here finding out how to stop my stream. Oh, there it is. There's my stop stream button. Stopping stream.